We're live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another 42 Level 1. I'm one of your hosts, Alistair Kennedy, and first off, apologies for the last 2 weeks for not being here. But this is the 26th of October. We're here, and by we, I mean me and the former Twilight Princess of all games, the current Twilight Princess of YouTube, the former potentially current CEO of Xbox, the man of many names, but we just call him one Andy.
Yeah, Mr. Andy Urquhart here as always.
How are you?
Dreading the show. Do you know why we've not done the show for the last 2 weeks? Because I've been filled with dread, and Ali's been filled with dread. Yeah, just dread. All the dread. It's scary. Scary month, Halloween month. We were going to play scary games. We've probably played the scariest game of them all.
So, do you want a wee scary funny? You're not going to find it funny. A scary funny story, listeners. So,
Right.
I've been trying to watch like Halloweeny kind of stuff, and when me and Andy were teenagers, like Scream was the big movie in the cinema, and Scream the TV series, which is on Netflix, just the first 2 seasons. Third season, it's a bit weird. It got canned after the second season because it was a Weinstein thing, right? Which is a shame because it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And the third season got brought back by Queen Latifah. I'm not saying that she couldn't do it, she's an actress, but apparently she scraps what happened in the first 2 seasons and restarts it, right? But
Okay.
I don't care because I've been watching this, as you know, Andy. Season 1's absolutely fucking amazing. Season 2 I started, I went, this isn't as good. It hit about episode 4, I'm like, oh my god, I didn't see it going this way. So I said to Andy said, you ready? I've had this set up since about 7 o'clock after I made dinner tonight. My daughter was playing about with the laptop and everything. That's why our names are currently showing up. Well, half and half. I don't know. I'm not getting them off just now. I'm not messing about with it. But she's push buttons. Even though I said, don't push buttons in Daddy's laptop. I said to Andy, sorry mate, I'm watching a finale. Felt like a finale. So last season, there was 10 episodes and it was done. We were on episode 10 tonight. And it said next episode at the credits there, and I'm like, because even Tasha, I told Tasha this is the finale, this is the final episode because it's episode 10, and I'm like, oh shit, there's 3 more episodes. They obviously extended it for season 2, so I didn't even get the resolution. I'm like, we're going to find out, and I swear it felt like the final. It felt like this is it, we're going to find out, and then it just went, it threw something else at you. And you know the funny thing is, Andy, like we're a Halloween spooky season. Ooh, we're not going to do a whole old style video game outsiders episode where John just plays incessant fucking ghoul noises. We're not doing that because I used to be a fan of that show, and like I love Matt Bradford. Matt Bradford rocks, but and John's good and so is Michelle. But see the Halloween episode, it is unlistenable every year.
I can't listen to it, yeah.
Because
it's the cackling and there's like the shaking of a can or some shit.
In the
like,
background,
oh
but it's like there's background noise and there's background noise, and that is played like higher than the volume. And it's been every year for like over 10 years, over a decade they've done this. So just warning you if you guys are fans of VGO and you listen to us as well. But no, anyway, Scream, Andy. I watched it, and do you know what my instant thought was? I'm not sure in this, but Andy will love it. And I got into it. And I went, do you know what, Tasha, I'm going to tell Andy like this. She went, Andy will love this, because this is like X, Y, and Z. She told me some shows that you guys watch, and I was like, I don't care. I don't care that I like this show, because you guys like those style of shows, but it's teenagers, blah, blah, but it's Scream, right? This, I looked up as well, and I had to dodge everything, like Neo in the Matrix dodging bullets, because I did not want to find out who the killer was, because for the first 10 episodes, Andy, I'm like, it's him, it's her, it's him. I was wrong till the end. In this season, Tasha was sure up until the last episode of who it was, and I went, you've got a good point. She's wrong. It's been proven she's wrong because that person's now dead. So, it's not tied to the movies. And like usually these sort of spin-offs to like Scream was a decent movie. Like I haven't seen them all, but like I've seen Scream 1 and 2 at least. Maybe Scream 3. Definitely didn't see Scream 4, but we're going to watch them after this because I don't like jump scare horrors. You know this. Fans of the show for the last decade know this. Like, I don't like jump scare. And slasher movies are fine, yeah. Potentially slashers scarier because that could happen in real life, but I prefer a who is the killer movie. These horror movies are brilliant because you're like, is it him? Oh, it's him. Oh, no, they've done something wrong. So, like, my plan for this week is I'm not putting aside my main game that we'll get to. but I want to play horror games. And I know that was your promise for this month, but something interfered, Andy, didn't it? Because I know we haven't done a show in basically 2 weeks now. But I'll apologise to listeners. It was my fault this time. Andy didn't sleep in for 2 weeks. It wasn't my fault, but like it was circumstances out with my control. But we're all back to good now. Everyone's happy and healthy. But yeah, I want to play some horror games. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I want to play some horror games, and we'll talk about the news on the news show on Friday. But A Quiet Place got announced. We have saved A Quiet Place to Andy, me and my wife, for Halloween this year because we watched A Quiet Place a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago, whenever it came out, and it was fucking amazing. And from what I've heard, they're saying, if you're going to do a sequel, that's how to do it. And I'm excited. I've not heard a bad thing about it. I've kept spoiler free and I've bought it, so I can't wait to watch that. But we're kind of trying to watch a horror thing every night. But I thought, I need to start playing some horror stuff. So I've installed Dead by Daylight. I've installed your, what was the horror-y kind of Until Dawn one you told me about?
Man of Medan.
Yes, the Muppets. Do you know what? Can I just say this? Sonny, if you're listening, I know you're not. Can you please make Until Dawn 2? I would love that game. I would really love that game. I have installed other games. Oh, I reinstalled Evil Within because I love that game. I've never fully finished it. Did you finish that game? Is that one that you finished, Andy?
I played a bit of it, but I never finished it.
Never finished it. You should.
I have installed it.
It was made by. It was the creator of Resident Evil, and it's very more gothic. And you played more of this than me. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure at one point you had a hardcore follow this game, play this game. Was it not? You remember the wake up in the hospital, go back, or was that a different game?
Like I can't remember, but like I definitely did play this for a wee bit because I bought it and like I own a digital copy of it. So like I did buy it and play it a couple of years ago, and I would have talked about it on the show. So but I can't remember.
Generation Pixel is that? Generation Pixel says Man if Medan. He's going to retype it, but Man of Medan is worth a play. Thank you, Generation Pixel.
Yes.
I loved Until Dawn. I thought it was incredible. I liked the Shield guy and Save the Cheerleader because the graphics were spot on. Can I just throw a shout out here for anyone wanting Halloween games that doesn't want to go Resi? Man of Medan is worth play. Thanks, Generation Pixel. Thank you. I will try it. I'm more a Resi guy. Andy loves these books. This is Andy. I know you don't know what I'm about to say, but I know you will 100% agree with me. And I've never been more confident in this in my life. Never. And Andy never agrees with me. For people that want something completely different that you can probably buy for 3 of your British pounds at the moment, €4, $5. If I'm wrong, please correct me, Andy. Murdered Soul Suspect is worth a play.
Oh yeah, it is. That is an underrated game.
100%.
Very underrated.
I would argue that that's probably the PS4, Xbox One era's most underrated game.
Yes,
I would
100%.
definitely say that.
Like, it didn't review very well, and it sold really badly, and they should have went bust because of the game. But that game was great, and like I got a review copy. Full disclosure. I got a review copy, and I did a review of the game, and I reviewed it quite highly. I think I gave it like an 8 out of 10 or something.
You did.
But like I loved that game. It was fucking great, and like I went back and played through it again so that I could get the platinum for it as well. Like, really enjoyed it.
I did not get a review copy of this game, so therefore I'm not beholden to Andy's bias. I loved it. I really think a game of that sort would go well. I think there's other aspects of the horror genre that you could explore without going the zombie route, which many games tend to go down. Like there's definitely other avenues, and not many people are willing to take the risk, which is a shame these days. But if you want a bargain, Murdered Soul Suspect is my 42's Halloween recommendation to you.
Yes.
To you.
Pixel in chat hated it, so
hated it. Get out. It was fucking good. Sorry.
I like it, man. There was the only bad part of that game was the cat. Like when you had to control the cat, that wasn't very good. But like the rest of it was great.
You know, there's a whole game coming out about controlling cats on the PlayStation that I bet Generation Pixel gives rave reviews to.
I probably not, but like because that game doesn't look good. But like people are really excited about that cat game, Stray.
Why are they
Like, but I
excited
don't
about it?
think
It looks so
it's
bad.
terrible. Yeah.
And I'm someone that loved what was my Pomeranian game?
Pomeranian.
Yeah.
Tokyo
Tokyo
Jungle. That
Jungle.
was.
And I loved that game. Worth a play. Not a Halloween game, but this cat game looks awful. Really bad. But I'll say, Scream on Netflix. I don't care. See, if you didn't like the movies, fine. This is nothing to do with the movies. It just uses the brand name. It's superb. It's back to what I was saying. This is Life is Strange meets Until Dawn. 100% Andy, that's how I would. And I've only played the first Life is Strange, so I don't know what the other ones are like, but the Life is Strange vibe, 100% that mixed with Until Dawn is what you're getting here. And so far it's been, I'm so disappointed it's finishing. But really good, really good. I'd advise watching it for you specifically. Especially when Tasha went, Andy would like this. I went, my two wives. They love the same shows. But yes, we are back. We're here to review things. You can see the title of the show is Andy Dreads Metroid, and we will get into that in a little bit. But Andy, I've got a confession to make, like Usher. These are my confessions. No. No. We'll get into that. No, I've had a bit of an obsession with Grand Theft Auto recently.
Okay.
It didn't start with the remasters, funnily enough. It started slightly before that, as you know. And I don't know where it came from. I think it was just sometimes I get the need for... I just need the... Tokyo Jungle gets the thumbs up. Yay! Thanks, Generation Pixel. You're right. And do not listen to... Was it episode 1 of this show? If you can find episode 1 of this show on iTunes, Google Podcasts or whatever, or podcast feed, website 42level1.com, which looks smashing. We keep forgetting to push that. We don't do any new content, but I did some good work for it. It does look nice now. Tokyo Jungle was one of the first episodes. In fact, the first episode, I believe, Andy.
I think it was the first episode you covered it, yeah.
Yeah, and
the Pomeranian, yeah.
Yous all ripped out of me for not being able to pronounce words correctly, and I mean by 5 in the morning I was so drunk I didn't care. During the first episode, someone lost a flat. We lost the host. Like it was a first episode. Yeah. That was back before podcasts were a thing people did. Like I had to tell everyone that was coming on the show, like you, what a podcast was at that point, because I'm like, you don't... It's like radio, but on your phone. And it was just kind of like, cool, yeah, I miss my band. I need something. And here we are, 9 years later. But yeah, what was I talking about? My obsession with Grand Theft Auto. I don't know where it came from. I just got a need for an open world that wasn't like Ghost Recon, Ubisoft, sorry, I don't want to just tarnish Assassin's Creed. I just didn't want Ubisoft, and Grand Theft Auto kept springing to mind, and I tried playing the campaign of GTA 5 and like, not for me. And I've been banking my 1 million every month in GTA Online, Andy, so I fired up my GTA Online. And I stopped playing. I stopped playing the first night. I was like, I can't play this. Because when I last played this, people had access to the jet bikes with the rockets. Annoying griefers. I'm a biker guy in it. I've got my biker gang. Andy and me used to play on this, and like I'm like coming out the biker club, and the Shield helicarrier, or what looks like the Shield helicarrier, appears above my clubhouse and practically nukes me dead. And I'm like, okay, I'll give him that one. I spawn again, and he's almost right above my spawn point. Comes over to me and like carpet bombs me. Like remember in Sonic 3? On Angel Island, Sonic and Knuckles, I believe. Was it Sonic and Knuckles or Sonic 3? That is a bad Sonic fan. You know the boss of Meaning where you're just running and it's like and it's just that's what it felt like, and I'm like, I am not playing this fucking game. So I put it down, and the next night I had another hankering. I fired up I believe it was Liberty City Stories, Liberty City Stories, which
Okay.
I loved on PSP. It's a prequel to GTA 3 and far superior in every way. So Tony's one of the guys you worked for in GTA 3, and this is the story of Tony coming back after jail. Kind of
Tony,
Sopranos-esque.
hey Tony.
Really good, really good. I would argue of that era only. I would say it was better than San Andreas. To me, I know a lot of people are fainting in horror. I believe Liberty City Stories is better than San Andreas. But I loved Vice City Stories, the gangster version, and I know the '90s hip hop gangster version San Andreas did. San Andreas is a phenomenal game, but story wise, Vice City is always top to me. So I played some Vice City Stories in an unusual way. I've got a PSP, I've got a PS2. However, what I did was I used my Apple TV,
Okay.
and obviously that's my streaming. It's like my Chromecast for my phone because I'm over an iPhone now again. And I fired up Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories, and I'm like, do you know what? This would be cool if I could play it on the telly. And at first I thought, this isn't going to work. Do you know what I did? I'm playing Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories with the DualSense on the telly with no lag. I mean no lag. Like I was pushing buttons. Like to my eyes I can't see lag. There's maybe like fighting game fans that can discern lag, but not for me. So I fired it up, and do you know what, Andy? Like I playing this game, I'm like, do you know what? I loved. I mean, this was our very early 20s when these games came out. I was like, I love. In fact, even before that, I think I was about 18 when Vice City came out. These games were like our coming up. Fainted in Horror. San Andreas is the GOAT. Generation Pixel, what you need to do, if you've got a mirror in the house, please go to it and have a word with yourself. If you think the voicing of Ray Liotta emulating Scarface mixed with Miami Vice is inferior to Boys in the Hood stretched out for a 20-hour game is better, then please, I know adding a jetpack might make it better, but it's not. Vice City is the king. Listen to that soundtrack. Listen to the soundtrack. Anyway, Liberty City Stories, I was playing that, absolutely love it. There's something charming about this era, and they didn't remaster them, they didn't do anything. They kind of tarted it up, if you will. Like they done a Devil May Cry HD on PS3 version of it, and it looks fine. Plays fine as well, Andy. I was so surprised, and I went, do you know what? I'm not getting beaten by this helicarrier. He's not going to be waiting for me now. I logged in, and the Pokemon 151 happened to me, Andy. Which is how relevant I am these days. I'm old. I accept it.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
So, you know exactly what I mean by Mew. Like Mew, the Pokemon you could only obtain at certain Pokemon events back when Pokemon was good.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Or use a Game Shark or whatever it was called at the time to obtain them, or the missing no cheat. So,
cheat. So you used a cheat. That's what you're saying, right? Okay. So you're saying it's okay to use cheats. That's
Andy, this was no. Did I say I used it, or did listen? Did I say I used that cheat? Are you admitting to using cheats? Is that what you're doing now? Yes. So you did use cheat. We'll get into that. Mew was like a mythical Pokemon. You could obtain him legally in Pokemon Emerald via a ticket back at the Game Boy Advance. But anyway, I obtained the holy grail of Grand Theft Auto Online, a server, Andy, a server, listeners, with not a single soul on the server. I put out the call, Andy, download Grand Theft Auto. He ignored me. Fraser, have you still got a PlayStation? He ignored me. I did not care. I had a server to myself. I bought all my businesses, Andy. I bought my arcade. Do you remember the trouble me and you had even buying your arcade? Getting to buying. We bought that. I bought the arcade. And every business has a setup mission, so it starts making money. Andy, I own one of every business thanks to this glorious server that allowed me to do this. The video game gods were looking upon me tonight and went, tonight is your night. We will provide you with a solo server only for you. I had a great time. So do you know what, Andy? I logged in the next night. And this is where the story gets even better. I told you about it in the group chat. So, Ali logs in. And He's doing some transport money missions. He's got a bit more confidence now because Ali in the game's he's got his businesses. He's transporting money. He doesn't care about other players on the map. Killed 2-3, times by a guy on a jet bike. Fine. Randomly, I get a bounty put on me because I come out my arcade, and sometimes in Grand Theft Auto Online, you steal a NPC's car, and what happens is that NPC goes, "I'm coming for you," and a bounty gets put on you, which means everyone in the map knows you're worth money to kill. So I decide, do you know what? I know where Grove Street is. Grove Street in GTA 5 is the lasting thing, because GTA San Andreas has Los Santos in it as well, and Los Santos has Grove Street, and that is where Carl's from. And I drive down Grove Street, and I'm just standing there, watching my hood, looking out for bad guys. Nobody comes for me until there's a stramash. I have videoed this entire thing. It's 45 minutes of sheer beauty. And along comes, eventually, to cut a long story short, a Power Ranger on a motorbike. And I'm standing in... It's not an actual Power Ranger. It's a guy with what looks like a Power Ranger costume and all his... Meep. And I'm like, I'm worth money. He clearly wants me to get on. So I jump on the back of his bike. He drives. There's no speech involved. He's not on mic. I've muted my PlayStation 5 controller. I just sit there. He drives me. 10, 15 minutes just driving. He's not trying to kill me. He's not trying to throw me off. He's just doing some really good motorbike driving. He goes all the way up the mountain, Mount Chiliad. And he goes, beep, beep, as if get off. So I got off. A helicopter lands. I'm like, oh, this is like some movie. I get in the helicopter, Andy. The helicopter takes off. I'm like, cool. This is great, because after a certain time your bounty runs out. I went, these guys are probably good guys. The guy does a phaser, and I didn't notice. The helicopter goes into the side of the mountain. Blown up. And I'm like, fair play. That is the best, most elaborate prank I have ever seen in this game, and it's all in the... It was in good fun. I'd have been annoyed if I'd been transporting my money, although I'd have never got back in the motorbike if I'd been transporting money, because players can steal your money. Every time what I do now, which you like, Andy, you know how you used to have to run to a bank and input it. Now you can go in a building, go in your mobile app and deposit. They've allowed you to do that now, so you can deposit from the app even if you get cash in your hand. I don't know how that works in real life, but it works in the game.
Put money in your phone.
But it's made it easier for the game, so I'm fine with that, because every time I go and lift my safe money, instead of going, fuck, I've got to go to the bank and all those guys are there, because you had to used to go to a bank in GTA and go beep, 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 and put it in. Now you don't. So anyway, after the helicopter, I'm on the side of the mountain. I'm going, oh great. I was thinking, I'm just going to log out. That was funny. Beep, 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 beep. I'm like, what? You're back. Do you know what, son? Let's go. So I jump back on this bike, Andy. He takes me all across the map. He does crazy flips with both of us on. He jumps fences. He does crazy trick moves. I'm like, this guy's either hacked the game or he's really good. So he drops me off, and I'm like, okay, that's it. And he starts following me in the road. He's not shooting me or anything. I don't pull a weapon either. And by this point, he's got an eyeball suit on. It's one eyeball is his head in the suit. And I'm like, cool, he's shooting off his suits. He pulls up a car and he's points at the car. He makes his character point at the car. I'm like, okay, I'll get in. So I got in with him. We drove for a bit. He had the fucking car where it's got rocket boosters and could go underwater, Andy. This guy was putting it off ramps, flipping us in the air, not killing us at all, just having genuine fun. And he flips it up in the air off one of those San Francisco style bridges in the game. Flips us off that. We land in the water. He dives out the water, backflips off. We end up at the airport. He crashes, we blow up, and I'm like, okay, he got me again, fair enough. He runs round, beep, 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 beep. I get in the car. He takes me to a plane, and I'm like, oh my god. Then it says paused, he's away, and we're just sitting there listening to music in the plane. And he's added me as a friend on PlayStation. I've not added a random on PlayStation Andy since PS3, and I'm like, do you know what, son? Accept. So we're in this black private jet in the airport. He drives me up in the sky. We're going flying, blah 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 blah. Woo. He's back flipping on an air jet. It's not glitching the game or anything. He's actually taking this thing up. He's doing barrel rolls. And then he crashes it to the ground and logs out the game. And I'm like, do you know what? That was awesome. I actually sent the guy a message and said, I hated this game till tonight. You've made it clear there are still some people in it that just want to have a laugh and mess around. Thank you. He's never messaged me back and we've never played again. However, Andy, see those 45 minutes of... I might upload it to YouTube, but those 45 minutes of me playing Grand Theft Auto with this random guy who just wanted to have fun, didn't want to speak. That's my genuine idea of how Grand Theft Auto should have been. It shouldn't be a 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid outside your house in the game throwing rockets at you so you can't do anything. It should be guys like this, like elaborate pranks, showing off all their cool stuff, backflips in an underwater car that can have a good stream, guys. Some of us have work in the morning. Generation Pixel, I hope you have a good shift.
Enjoy.
I am off tomorrow, so I will
Me too.
be thinking of you. So will Andy. He'll be thinking of you. Deeply, madly, deeply, truly, like Savage Garden. Anyway, back to Grand Theft Auto. Do you know what, Andy? Like, that brought my faith back into GTA, and I'm not as apprehensive as I used to be of joining a GTA Online session now, because I'm like, the main guys kind of congregate in the middle of the map. See if my missions are at the side, I'm fine. I am okay. And I've also discovered another thing. If you're getting grief in your server and you choose to join another server, which is an option, it tends to put you in a server where people are just doing missions. And, you know, even though it might pop up like Andy's gang is robbing the bank, you can rob them. Most of the time in these servers, you'll be left alone. Like, I've done so many missions now, I'm just like, my next one is, what they've actually done, Andy, they've made a new island. They've made a whole new island that wasn't on the story map, wasn't on that, and you can go to it. The only problem is, I went wild. I didn't just buy a nightclub, Andy. I bought the 5-floor nightclub with fucking 4 basements, with like all the fancy dances, all the fancy lights. And then they turn out and they're like, yeah, it's 2 million for the basic sub. I'm like, I've got 2 million all day. Nah, I'm a bit short. So I need to wait a couple of months because they're adding $1 million in PlayStation, if you didn't know, to the game for free on PlayStation Plus. And if you redeem it every month, it gets added to your balance. Like, I started this, I had 12 million, I was balling, and I was clever. I didn't buy every fancy car.
You just bought the fanciest fucking arcade.
I didn't mean to do that either. However, like, I could have bought the basic arcade and it would have made the same money, potentially. But then what happens is you've got your arcade. This is the part that will interest you because you like your business. It's like popularity. See, if your popularity drops, your money drops every day you get taken. So then you have to go, okay, I need to do a popularity mission, which might be going like take out the rival arcade owner or go and deliver something. And these are the things that interest me. And the one thing that annoyed me so much, so much, was when I was doing set up the business missions, I was like, this feels like its own single player game that's worthy enough of, this is after game content that 9 times out of 10 gets disturbed by griefers on this game to make it unplayable. Like, if you would just say, you've got to set up some businesses, you've got to do a run for him, you've got to buy a bunker for him, you've got to do this, I'd be like, this is excellent, just allow me my own server and let me invite my friends. Why can't I do that? But I understand servers cost money. But at the same time,
I'm sure you could probably set up your own server, but you'd have to have it like a dedicated PlayStation setup running the server all the time.
Yes, that was the thing. Like, I read into it. You can do it, but you need to have a PlayStation set up running this server in private, and it's not always possible and whatever, and it has to be a certain speed. This game is fun. Like, that's the problem with GTA Online. It puts somebody like you off, and you love GTA 5 as well. Like, this game has so much potential in it that's ruined by kids who have just spent their money on bikes to go, ha, I'm blowing you up. And it's like, and you get kids that talk incessantly in the mic, and you have to go into the online people and mute them. Although, do you know what my new tactic is? If I hit one of those servers, leave, move server, move session. And it works. Eventually you get one where nobody's talking. It's just people going about doing the business. I've drove past several people in this game, Andy. They've slowed down as I've came in case I was going to shoot. They've just kept driving. So the missions are so much fun. I love this game again, man. Like, I'm loving GTA. And then we'll talk more about it in the news, Andy, but I'm sorry, I am no longer calling these Grand Theft Auto remasters after the video that was put out today. It wasn't Digital Foundry, it was a similar place. They actually, because I was speaking to Cameron, one of our friends, former guest in the show who writes for, is it Unilad, whatever.
Yeah.
He said that it looks a bit cartoony, but he's down. I'm okay with the cartoon look because it's the only way to lean into it. Because back then, when we had the PS2, GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, they looked as realistic as it was going to get. Looking back on it, it looks cartoony, blocky, and awful. So instead of making it realistic-ish like GTA 5, what they've done is they've leaned into the look like they said they were doing, and they've made it cartoony. I'll talk more about my impressions on Friday, but just now, I love what they've done with it. And this comparison I seen today, they've done things that I didn't even notice, and like see, even showing you the explosions, I was like, holy, they've done a lot for reflections, light work. They've remade the game. They haven't just ported it, they haven't just polished it. This is not the same engine. They've moved it from the Rage, which is the Rockstar all-game engine, I believe. They've moved it into the Unreal Engine. They've redone the whole thing. They've remade it. So this is a remake. This is not just Definitive Edition. And I 100% think they should have leaned into GTA Definitive, not Definitive Edition, but remake. That would have made more sense because they've remade the entire game. Looks incredible.
I think the expectation, if they called it remake, though, would be that it would be like in
GTA 5.
modern day graphics.
Fair.
Which is the problem.
Which
that's
could have
why
been.
not done that.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Right? But what they've did is they've leaned into the old aesthetic and made it look like that because the draw distances are the same as GTA 5. I've seen it in this video, and it's like, before it was like, from me to that wall, that's where the fog was. And if you fire up your phone just now and download GTA, or if you have GTA, play GTA in any way you can if you think these aren't updated. Fire it up, PS2, PSP, fucking emulator, do it now, and then look at the video for this and tell me it's the same game, because it's fucking not. They've changed the controls, they've changed everything. The cars don't even look the same. So I cannot wait for these, man. Like, anyway, GTA Online took up a lot of this week, Andy. However, the game that I spoke about a week ago on Friday, I believe, on launch day on 9th, 2 weeks ago, Metroid Dread, which I was loving at the time. I don't know what I think about it now. I don't know where I am on it now. Andy does, you don't. So stay tuned to hear about that. But however, you've heard my first impressions. You've heard what I initially thought of the game. I want to pass you over to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Andy Arquette, because he picked up Grand Theft Auto Metroid.
I'm like, I didn't buy Grand Theft Auto. What the fuck are you talking about?
I was leading to Grand Theft Auto Metroid. No, we're talking about Metroid Dread now, so cut off the Grand Theft Auto. What I'm trying to say is, Grand Theft Auto is worth the money. It's not 60, 70 pound like they said. It is 50 quid. What they've done to it's more than worth it with new controls.
I mean, it's 3 games. Like, if you were to buy them, like all 3 individually,
20. That's about right. 20. In fact, it's cheaper, and they've redone it all. But anyway, Metroid Dread. Sorry, folks, for my awful joke. Metroid Dread is what we're talking about here.
So yeah, I did pick up.
In fact,
pick up Metroid Dread.
Here's how I want you to structure it. Tell us about your history with Metroid. First of all, lead us in like this, and then get us into the game. Okay, I'm going to
Metroid. Metroid is a game series that I've played in pieces over the years. Like, I never had an NES and NES back in the day, so I played that one fleetingly on the Nintendo Switch Online, the original Metroid. Didn't particularly like it that much. I played Super Metroid back in the day when it was on the SNES, because my wee brother had it and he loved it, but I didn't like it because it was too slow, and I liked playing Sonic. It was a fast game. I didn't like all this business of having all these roadblocks in my way and going around and having to like shoot guys and stuff. I wanted to run through these fucking platform levels fast as fuck, and you couldn't do that in Metroid because it was a very slow-paced game. So I played that a little bit back in the day and watched my brother play it more, and he was good at it. But yeah, so never touched that for years. Tried it again on the Switch Online. I spoke about it like last week before, and I tried it like a wee bit before that, and I think I've put maybe like an hour into it or something like that, and it's all right. Like it's definitely aging, but it is a slow game. But I can kind of appreciate it more now for what it is. And then I never played any of the other 2D ones, but I've played a couple of 3D ones, like your Metroid, what is it called? Metroid Prime. 3 was the one I played the most of, Metroid Prime 3 on the Wii. Played a good bit of that because my Wii was the main console at the time, so I remember buying that game day one and playing like maybe 5 hours of it and not liking it. So Metroid is a series that I like the aesthetic of it, and I like the character of Samus, or at least the look of the character. She has a cool fucking suit. Like that suit is awesome. But as for the games, I've never engaged with one of the games because I've never like engaged that much with the gameplay because I didn't like this, that, or the other thing about the different types of gameplay they've had in the games. The spin-offs and stuff like that, I've never touched them. I know Ali's played them and spoke about them on the show before, but I've never touched them. So that brings me to Metroid Dread. So why did I buy Metroid Dread? Because I thought it looked cool. Seeing the trailers of it, like, I'm like, oh, okay, this looks quite cool. Like I said, I've always liked the look of Samus. I've got a bunch of the amiibos and stuff because I like the aesthetic of it. And this is an updated game. Like any of the ones I've seen before, like the graphics are always like kind of not that good, and this one looks pretty good for like a 2D game. And like Nintendo are good at making 2D games look just sweet. So yeah, I wanted to pick it up. Plus, it gives me a reason to play the Switch again. I haven't played my Switch in 6 months since. I did tell a lie. I did pick it up, but only because of Metroid to play Metroid, Super Metroid.
It's been over 6 months. I would just say that.
But yeah, previous to that, it was over 6 months because the last thing I played on it was Bowser's Fury on the Mario 3D World, and I only played that for one day. I bought that game and returned it because I only wanted to play through that one DLC, and I think it was 2 days it took me, and it was great. But like since then, my Switch has just been gathering dust on charge in my drawer, hasn't been touched at all. So I'm like, I need to have something new to play on the Switch. So yes, I got Metroid Dread, and I've been playing it, and I was in love with the game, honestly. Like for quite a good bit at the beginning, like, and I was messaging Ali back and forward, and I was getting stuck at bits and then working them out, and like Ali was helping me with little pointers here and there, which was very helpful, I must say. And then I hit a point where I got to a boss that I got stuck at, which was very tricky. And I beat it eventually.
No, you didn't. You see somewhere deep down in your soul, you know you didn't beat that boss. So,
I beat him using
here's
mechanics that were in the game.
Here's where I interject. To his credit, he's been playing the game since without amiibo, as far as he's told me, because he got a tirade of abuse afterwards for using this. So he's like, what do amiibo do in the game? And I'm like, I ain't telling him because I know he's stuck. And I kind of hinted around it, and then I'm like, he's not read these. And then he didn't even read them. His response was, beat it. And I'm like, use amiibo, didn't you? I had to. I'm like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't need to use amiibo. Because what amiibo do, if you're quick enough or you've got time in a boss fight or such, you pause it, you go to amiibo, use one of the 8 available Metroid amiibo. If you've got the Dread ones, which aren't available here till the 5th of November, I believe they're getting launched because of delays.
Yeah, they got delayed. Yeah.
They're on that second ship in Egypt, guarantee it. I think Samus gives you an extra 99 health, which is a health bar, and I'm pretty sure the Emmy gives you an extra plus 10 missiles. Fine, that's fine because that's collectible. However, the rest of them, top up your health full or top up your rockets full. So Andy, instead of trying to beat this boss or get better and beat the boss, which is 100% possible, and I know he could have now because he's beat a Chozo Soldier, He gave up, went, bing, scan, yeah, I beat him now. Yeah, because you gave yourself double health. But yes, he is right. It is a mechanic in the game. But it's pay to win, is what you've just did. Which is something you hate, so you must hate yourself now.
It is pay to win, but, I mean, I bought some of these quite a long time ago. I've never used them in a game.
Do you know what? This ice... Yeah. Sorry, father-in-law. This is really good ice cream. Iceland's Italy range. My father-in-law, for those listening that don't know, owns an ice cream shop that's well known in the town. But this is absolutely lovely. Silvo, you're not watching, but if you do, hi pal, this is great. You should buy it, man. Get it in for Christmas, please.
I don't think he's going to do that.
He won't, no.
But yeah, like that boss, like, it was Kraid. I got very stuck on Kraid, and I was getting very frustrated with it because I didn't feel like I was going to be able to beat it.
See, tonight when you told me you beat the Chozo, and I was like, with Amiibo, because I know now you'd tell me. You were like, no, by myself. I'm like, I was even more annoyed. I went, I'm not even going to text them. I just went, well done. Because you've actually made the effort, and I bet it felt good beating him. I bet it gave you that sort of...
Oh, it felt fucking amazing, because I didn't feel like I could beat the thing at all, and I was like, I think I'm done with this game. Like, I can't beat it. It's done. Like, that's me. But finished. I was enjoying it, and then I hit this boss, and like that Chozo boss was much harder than the Kraid boss.
He is, and you cheated on Kraid.
I'm pretty sure, like,
I was mad. I know you probably could tell I was mad.
I could tell, yeah.
I was fucking raging. Like, honestly, like, see, because I've fucked my... I've hurt my knee. I keep swearing all the time. I was like, I fucked my knee. Because last week, Tasha shouted me up the stairs to go and get Lexi, and obviously she couldn't get Lexi. So I jumped off the couch downstairs, planted my foot, and turned. So not only did I jar my knee, but I twisted it, and I went, and fell. So I went upstairs, and I was like, oh, my knee's fucking sore. Sorry, my knee's blooming sore. And
why are you trying to censor yourself?
I don't know. And then I think I swear too much. And then the next day I woke up and I'm like, I can't bend my leg. So I've got like one of those tubey grip things. The doctor wouldn't see me because of events that had happened, obviously. He was like, you need to wait till the end of that. And I was like, fine, I'll just rub some ibuprofen gel. My knee's still sore, so I've been sleeping on the couch. And Andy mentioned me, and I was like, what do you mean you used an Amiibo? I was actually raging. I was like, you're not getting any help from me. You may as well just use a guide. Anything Andy was mentioning me for a while was just using Amiibo. I think this lasted to the next day till we took the kids out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a full day.
And
so I went to bed that night, like, I said to Ashley, I was like, Alex fell out with me because I used an Amiibo in a game, and she's just laughing.
I did, though. And I did. I was mad. I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm done with that. I never told anyone. To myself, I went, I am done with Andy. I can't even look at him. But then, obviously, I thought, you know what? It's a complicated game anyway. I know how fucking frustrated I got and banged my head off a brick wall. And not that I'm 100% helpful, because it's like, I think it's this way, maybe this way, maybe this way. But I would have rather that than me going for like a week prior to myself before it. This is why I wish we'd got it at the same time. If we'd got it at the same time, you would have not used Amiibo. I know that, because we'd been playing it alongside each other. It'd been like The Witness. But you waited a week and got it. And I know why you're trying to rush through this, because you've got a certain deal where you can take it back and it's no qualms. But I don't know if you're going to get to that point. And I'm not meaning this as a down to you or anything, because I want you to talk more about your Metroid experience. But Andy said to me two things. He said it'll be a cakewalk, and he said he was going to rinse it. I will tell you, after Andy being 7-8 hours into Metroid Dread, his text to me said, this is fucking harder than Bloodborne.
Yeah, it's fucking harder than Bloodborne, definitely. Like,
anyway,
Bloodborne, what I would say, the thing is with Bloodborne, you can grind Bloodborne out. You can grind up so high a level that, like, you do so much damage that it doesn't, and you've got so much defense, it doesn't matter too much when you get hit. This game doesn't have that. You can go and collect your energy tanks, sure, but like those enemies fucking fuck you up when they hit you. Even the normal guys, like if they
Yeah.
hit you, they take off a lot of health.
See, last night, obviously I'm just jumping in because this is my game I played as well. So I'm at the final boss. I'm going to let Andy cover everything else because I'm not going to spoil it. And I realised I can't beat this guy. It's not that I'm not good enough. It's like I don't have enough health. So I went right back to the start. And last night I 100%ed, was it Arteria? The first, yeah, Arteria.
Yeah.
Got all the items there. Which was a challenge, by the way. A real challenge. It means using all your power. Some of them that you'd never need to use, really, like the Shine Spark and stuff. It's like, yeah, this is how to do it. They're like puzzles. And I kind of got it because there's 2 gaps and stuff. I figured it out. But I was running through some areas, Andy, and losing like 2-3 health tanks. And I'm like, what the fuck? See, if you're even normal enemies, if you don't hit your counter and you're just thinking, I'm going from A to B, if you're not aware of enemies around you, or like there's the creepy crawly guys, they're the worst, the fucking slug hedgehog things that spit shit at you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm coming up to save zones and I'm like, where's my health gone? And I've got a bit more health, not a lot more health than you, because there's only 13 total in the game. I've got 8. I think you had 5 the last time I looked. 6
I've got
maybe.
5, yeah.
So I've got 8, and that's with me backtracking. I got 1 last night after I decided 7 wasn't enough. And I got to the first save point in Arteria, just running through areas, boom, boom, ow, 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 ow. I had 2 health tanks left, Andy. I was like, I need to refill. So like, even I'm at the end game. This is what I want to say, and then I'll fully hand back. This game's got a very good way of going, you are a badass, you have just beat that boss, and then the very next screen, there's another enemy that comes in and he's like, not today, you're not that good, and it makes you feel insignificant, and it's all, I think that's how the game wants you to feel, like you're worthless, nothing. Adam continually tells you, you can't beat Razorbeak, you can't do anything, you're rubbish, you are awful, Samus, just try and do this and get back to me. And you generally feel like, okay, I have got power-ups now, but it doesn't make me feel any more powerful because this new area has enemies that will eat my face. But that's how I have felt like that through the entire game. And I'm on the final boss with all the power-ups. I just need maybe more health, but I still feel sometimes like, I can't win. And I've felt that since the first enemy I fought in Metroid Dread. Anyway, back to you, Andy.
Yeah, like what I will say is the game, the platform in the game is fucking excellent. The combat in the game is brilliant as well. The normal stuff, like when you're fighting against the normal enemies and stuff, all of that is really cool because there are sometimes ones where you'll come across them and it will be difficult to beat. Like there'll be like the rock guy who's like, you can't damage him with normal attacks, and you need to use missiles. Or there'll be like there's a little robot guy that's got his arms above his head like this.
Awful.
And you need to wait until he attacks, and he goes like this, boom, and then you can hit my missiles.
It goes
yeah. So like
did he remind you of a Sonic 3 boss? Like a Sonic 3 enemy?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I'm pretty sure there's one of those in Sonic 3.
Yep. So I really like all the basic enemies. Like those are excellent, really well done. Some of the bosses are very tough though. Like the main bosses, the eyeball guys are fine. Like they're no issue. Like you can go and fucking rinse them, no bother.
It's what happens after.
Yeah, the other bosses are tough. The Emmy, right? So like, I was like, this game's like perfect, basically up until I hit an Emmy, and then as soon as I hit an Emmy, I'm like, oh right, okay. Like, there's something about it I like, and it's not about I really don't like, because when you're trying to like, the game's all about exploration and trying to like uncover all the different areas of the map, and you'll get to bits and it's like, oh, there's like here's a green door, you can't go through a green door yet, basically. It's more complicated than that, but like basically there's a green door, you don't have the green power. Like that's kind of what it boils down to. And then you're like, okay, well, I guess I'll come back to this later on once I've got that power. You'll go away somewhere else. And that's all fine and good when you're in any area apart from that Emmy zone. Because when you're in an Emmy zone, there's a fucking like murderous beast thing hunting you down, wanting to kill you at all times. Like it's like Alien Isolation 2D, where there's a thing hunting you at all times. But your objective is to explore this area and find the next way to go. But you don't know where to go. There's no, you don't have an idea of where to go generally, so you're just try to explore around, and there's this fucking thing hunting you. Which that would be all fine if the thing didn't kill you instantly as soon as it gets you every single time. That's frustrating. Like
not true. but not true for me.
Basically, like, so it gives you, there's two counter opportunities that you have with the Emmy. So like as soon as an enemy catches you, it goes into a cutscene. You've got like a split second to hit the counter button, and it's different every time. Like, it's almost impossible to hit the button at the right time. I've done it twice, like, and I've been killed by enemies at least 50 times. So like those bits frustrated me. Once you've got the actual power to deal with the enemy, I don't have any issue with it, because like you've got a defense against them, and like you then are hunting the enemy, which is kind of like, it flips on its head a wee bit. But the enemy's still dangerous to you, because like if it gets up to you, then it still kills you in that one hit. And it is tricky to kill them with the. It's like basically you need to fire this like continuous beam at their head till it sort of like glows, and then it blows up in their face, and then you need to fire this like expanded charge beam at them, and that blows them up. And then you always get a new power after it. But like I've never had any, like, it took me a few goes sometimes, but I've never had any big problems with doing that. And I don't mind that they kill me like that in those fights. Like, that's fine. Like, the bosses are the problem when it kills you quickly. That bugs me.
Well,
like that Chozo boss, man. Fucking hell.
the Emmy, I love them simply because my whole first impressions of the game, when they told me what it was going to be or showed us, I thought they were going to be following us the whole game. So I was kind of relieved. It's kind of, usually it's the center of the map. Usually it's the center of the map, and sure, it's artificial inflation of the game, because if they didn't have the Emmy, the game would be finishable a lot quicker. But it's something new. It's something completely different for Metroid. I mean, Metroid's had bosses before. It's had alternate routes before. Like, but Emmy, that's something new. And sometimes you do the music and the boo 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 boo, the wee beam boom 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 noises. It's like, it's creepy, because
it is creepy. Yeah.
My thing is, a lot of people complained about, oh, the soundtrack's not good. I'm sorry, I'm not blasting that on any of my playlists, any of the Metroid soundtracks. This is one of the best ambiotic games. Like, the ambient feel is phenomenal in this game. Like, the sound effects and everything. I don't count it as a soundtrack. Like, it's not up there with like Streets of Rage or something for a video game soundtrack, or Vice City, like I said. Although I don't count Vice City because that's licensed music. But like, the soundtrack for this game fits perfectly for what it is. So see all these reviewers that are complaining saying the soundtrack is the worst Metroid soundtrack ever. Probably because it's not a soundtrack. It's to give you a feel for each area. Like, I have never had a problem with any of the areas whatsoever. Not one area have I had an issue going, do you know what? I don't like these beats. I can't really jive to this. It's like every area I've felt surrounded in, you get this typical of Samus entering there, getting a power and blah. It's fine.
Yeah, I like this type of game. I would never ever, like you're saying, I would never put it in a Spotify playlist or anything like that. I would never listen to it outside of the game. But for the purposes of the game, the music is perfect.
Absolutely.
And all the sound is absolutely fine as well. So like, yeah, it's good. I do like the speed of this game. I've always perceived Metroid as a slow game, but this game, you definitely, as you get your powers, you definitely get faster and faster as time goes by, which is cool. I don't like that speed power. That's very bad because it doesn't always activate. Like, see, having to click the L3 stick in to make it work.
That's your controller. It's
very annoying. But I've never had this issue with any other game, right? So
like, I would agree, right?
Very annoying.
But you didn't play Samus Returns.
No.
What I'm saying now is, I really hope Samus Returns, it won't, but I hope it comes to Switch, because Samus Returns plays like this. It's not as good as this, but it's like the Sonic 1 to the Sonic 2, if you know what I mean. So Sonic 1 was enjoyable, it was fine. That's what Samus Returns is. And like, it played like this, it had the counter move, the shoot move. I get stuck at Samus Returns, if you remember. I was playing through it like last year. I get really stuck.
Yeah.
See, now I've played Dread, I'm like, that's a cakewalk. I have nothing to feed in that game, so I will go back. This is the one thing this game has done for me, if anything. I want to finish the other Metroids. Like, I finished Zero Mission, which is the remake of 1, and the only one you should play now. That's the official version. Samus Returns, obviously 3DS. Then you've got Super Metroid, which was in the SNES. I'll play that in Switch. And then you've got Metroid Fusion, which I bought in the Wii U. This is what frustrates me the most. Like, it's like money for doing nothing, Nintendo. You could have easily put all of these games in any version you wanted on one cartridge and sold it to people for £30 to £40 before Metroid Dread, even now, and people will lap it up. And you're choosing not to do that for no reason. There is no work involved in this, bar making a menu screen. You could get an I know Andy jokes about interns, but you could literally get an intern to do it in the summer to make a menu graphic and an extras menu with some artwork. You could find out 4 Metroid games that you sell at what, £3.29 a pop on the Wii U store the last time I looked, £7 for the most expensive one. Fire them on one cartridge, sell it for £30. Fire on all versions of the game, like Metroid 1 and Zero Mission, and like Return of Samus and Samus Returns. Fire them all on one, sell it to me for £45, and I'll sign up day one. People want to play these games now because some people, this is their first Metroid. The only way to play Metroid Fusion, Andy, is a Wii U or a Game Boy Advance. How many people own either of these in this day and age?
Not a lot. So, no, retro collectors only, pretty much.
This is what I mean. So, like, this is why, like, Nintendo should have either turned on the Game Boy Advance on the Switch Online, or they should have sold it to us in a collection, considering it's an anniversary this year for Metroid as well, 35 years. Do you know, like, why didn't they just throw it out there? I do not understand it. And especially Metroid Dread's doing so well. See, tonight, like, literally, I don't think it would even take 5 to 6 hours to get these things compilated and with artwork around it to select it on a menu. And I'm not a programmer, but you have the ROMs, you have the emulation, you have the cartridge space. You could use the smallest cartridge for all these games. Because, I mean, you can play Samus Returns on a 2DS, Andy. You see what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
All of these...
I think it's a no-brainer, for sure. I think you're right.
Do you think it'll happen is the next question.
Well, I mean, surely if it was going to happen, they'd have done it this year.
That's what I thought. But COVID's a funny year.
Yeah, true. Maybe they'll try to focus on Dread. So maybe it'll be next year.
Would you pick up such a collection?
Probably not.
No? Would you not be interested in playing?
I don't know. Let's see if I can beat Dread first, right?
So, like, do you think you will beat Dread? How, all in all, thoughts, opinions?
If I beat Dread, I will buy that game, right? Like, let's put it that way. But yeah, so far I'm loving the game. I'm not loving the difficulty spikes at times. Most of the time, I can see where I'm going wrong, or I'm like, oh, I've just not got quite enough health here. I'll backtrack health up and then go back in, like, and that's fine. And that's kind of what using an amiibo does, except for the fact that you can do it in the middle of a boss fight. And I've only done it one time. I did have to use 5 amiibos to do that though.
5. Wow.
5 amiibos, yeah. But I mean, so like, there's only I think 2 of them that give me health. So
doesn't matter. Still, either way is cheating. But yeah, sure.
But I mean, like, having the extra missiles didn't benefit me in any way. Because, like, I was getting more missiles.
Because you can run out of missiles. But yeah, you do get extra missiles out of your stomach. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, when I'm shooting all the stuff, it was giving me more missiles anyways.
Oh yeah, he's blob.
I didn't run it. Yeah, I didn't run out of any missiles fighting that guy. But anyway, like, I didn't use... that's the only time I used them. I haven't used them again since then. The Chozo Warrior, I don't think it would have benefited me to use that because he was so fucking fast. Like, I couldn't believe how fast the thing was, man. Like, oh my god. But I managed to, like, use your tactic of just trying to avoid them, and then just, like, basically I would avoid them, ping like 4 or 5 missiles, and then avoid them again, and then, like, jump around, ping 4 or 5 missiles, and I got them that way.
Because I said to you that you were thinking Cobra Kai, and you should be thinking Miyagi-Do? Was that the one where it went, oh, ding?
No. Like, I think it was when I realised that I could do a double dash. Like, because I didn't know I could do that.
Sure, but you told me you were finished right after I said that phrase. So you obviously went from strike first, strike hard to Miyagi-Do of defence.
Sure, go with that. Yeah. But since I've done that, I've just been going around and, like, progressing more on with the main mission. Unlocking more areas and getting. I've got a couple more pills since then. I can't remember what the last one I got was. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the game. I will. I guarantee I'm gonna hit another point where I'm gonna get fucking very stuck though. Like I can feel it going that way this game.
I
So I
know
don't know
you're
if I'm
going to
gonna
get
be able to beat
stuck.
it.
The last easy
Yeah,
boss is the one that you're on, or I don't know if you beat me yet, but that's the last easy boss in the game.
So, like, I'm technically stuck on this guy, right? But like, I know I'm doing something stupid wrong.
I'm
This
not even
underwater boss
see
is where I'm at.
I'm not giving
I'm
you
like,
hints for him because he's like ridiculously easy. Like easy. And I've googled some stuff now that I'm on the final boss. I've not googled ending because I don't want that. I've not googled tips, but I've googled like boss rank. The one that I've been telling you about all the way, Andy, he's ranked the easiest. The easiest is the water one. He is easy.
I know he's gonna be easy, right? But I'm just doing the wrong thing. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm supposed to kill the guy. But like basically what he does is like he comes down and he's got like tentacles and he whacks you with tentacles, and that's fine. You just can dodge the tentacles because they're quite slow, and then he starts firing like little blobs at you, and you can shoot them. And he's got like a tentacle thing up high in the middle that you need to shoot with missiles. Fine, I can shoot that, and then once you sort of get to the next part of that bit in the phase, he'll sort of cocoon himself, and then you can't get to him, and it's like there's a like magnetic point up the top where you can hook onto it, and then it starts sliding you across
Yeah.
very slowly, like this speed.
Yeah.
And then by the time I get to the middle, he's come back, and I'm like,
Jump off
right,
before the
I
middle.
guess I need
Flash
to get off.
shift.
Well, okay, right. I tried
told
that.
you.
You can't flash shift. You can't flash shift underwater. Doesn't work.
Drain the water.
Drain? How do you drain the water? Oh my god. How do I drain the water? Okay, I will look into that. Okay, but yeah, that's where I'm at just now in the game. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. Like apart from, apart from that couple of bosses, this one I know is fine. Yeah, I don't know what you're saying, but anyway, I will
was my
endeavour
boss
to try
impression.
more on that one.
So then
It
this is
was very
Samus,
good, yeah.
and you go pew 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 pew. Oh, and you go and you go pew, 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 pew. With rockets.
But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna play more of the game anyway. Yeah, it's really good so far. It is hard though. Like I will say that anyone going into it like thinking it's gonna be a cakewalk, it's
But
not. A cakewalk.
I
It's
wouldn't
fucking
say
hard.
this. I wouldn't say this is a cakewalk. I found Metroid difficult for backtracking before. This is everything Metroid was before, plus bastard bosses. Like, and it's never unfair. It is always your fuck up. They are always beatable, which makes it worse, and you know it. I'm on the last boss, and I mean, I get stuck at the sub boss for a good couple of nights. Like I've put 11 and a bit, nearly 12 hours into this game now, and I beat the sub boss. It took me some going. He's tough, and spoilers obviously. It's if you don't want to hear what the sub boss is before the main boss, don't listen. But he's a Chozo Soldier, which Andy's just fought. And you'll meet twin soldiers, you'll meet robo versions of them. Then you meet the ones with the shield that do the same moves, but they've got a shield so you can't shoot them. This guy, you can kill the shield, right? You can shoot the shield and then hit him. See the gold one? Can't break his shield. And he does all the moves twice as fast. That's why I was like, I can't get to the last boss. And then I did it. I just randomly did it one time and I felt so good for doing it. Mostly I was annoyed at you for using Amiibo because of the gratification you get from actually doing it. So like, I'm on the final boss and I didn't look up a solution, but I was looking up, it was to show Andy where he was in the game, and he's about halfway now. He's about halfway in the game. And like, it said 5 stages of, and I'm like, it's the last boss. I didn't want to see that. The last boss is 5 stages, ladies and gentlemen. 5. I can't get past the first one, and I have all the powers, and I haven't exactly been just zooming to the boss. I've been collecting stuff, so I've actually had to resort to going back to the start, as you know, Andy, last night, and tried to collect as many health tanks and as many missiles as I can, because I can't beat him. I get some of his patterns, but if you think that Chozo Soldier was fast, imagine that Chozo Soldier turned up a wee bit quicker. Like, this is Barry Allen quickness, and you've just fought Wally West. Right,
Yeah.
Barry Allen with a boom apple, Andy. Like, he's got this
Great.
slight spoiler. He does an apple, and it goes like this. And you have to run and slide towards him as he does this. And if you're underneath, you're like, great. If you do not flash shift straight away, he strikes at you 3 times. And if he hits you with any of them, he slams you against the wall and starts pounding at you. And I'm like, I've just lost 3 full health bars and I have 7. You've got 5 phases, mate.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah. I don't know what the phases are, but I just seen 5.
Yeah. There was one level that I thought was really cool as well, where the stage was falling apart behind you, and you're like running away from like
Oh yeah,
falling
the lava.
bricks and all that. Really cool. Like, I don't think I've experienced anything like that since Sonic 2. I think it was, or maybe
It's
Sonic
more
3.
impressive than Sonic 2, but I'd say Sonic 3 did this, not Sonic 2.
Yeah, because there's one level where you have to run away and like stuff's falling on you, and the platforms are changing as you're going, and
Yep.
you're having to change direction. Like, that was
Marble
really fucking
Gardens,
cool
though.
to see. Yeah, that was really fucking cool to see in like a modern day game, like, because I've not seen it since like
You're
back
talking
in the
about
day, and like
Marble
nowadays
Gardens.
it looks amazing.
Because you had that robot that went do and dug into the ceiling as you're trying to fight
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
and it brought everything down.
Yep.
You had to run, and it like would crush you if you didn't hurry up. But
Yep.
here's one question I wanted to ask you, Andy. Like, now that you've had some more than good time into the game, you played about half or over half of it. The question is this worth a full price AAA title price? And I said last week, it fucking is 100%. There's no doubt in my mind that this is a place up there with like your FIFAs, with your Halos, and but it's 2D. Play it. What do you think?
Yep, it's 100% a full
Cool.
price game. 100%. Yep.
No question of
Like,
it. Like graphics,
AAA.
controls.
Yeah. No. AAA. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, not even a doubt in my mind.
No, that's cool, because I was wondering whether you go, it's AA, but I'm glad that you said
Nah.
100%.
Definitely not, because like I've played games like that are kind of like modern versions of Metroid, right? That are like retro throwbacks. Was it Axiom Verge? And like that game's worth like 20 quid or whatever it is, like 15, 20 quid, because it is like a retro throwback style of it, and it's very much bare bones old Metroid. Like, this one is like way past that. Like, this is a full price game.
Do you agree with, like, I can't remember who I was watching, either RGT or Spawn Wave, and they said that this is Metroid stepping back into their ring over the indie guys and going, yeah, I can still do it better.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Yeah, 100%. Like, the indie guys are doing good versions of the old
absolutely.
Metroid game.
Yeah.
Like, that is what like a Metroidvania game is in 2021.
Yeah, this is what the
And,
new
like,
Castlevania has to be. This is what games are
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
It blows them all at the wall. Even the art style, like I've seen, like what's it, like Bloodstained, and like they've done like Castlevania revivals and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
none of them look fucking a patch on like what Metroid is in 2D space.
Even the
Like,
new Castlevania I was playing on my phone, remember? It kind of looked more like Sonic 4 2.5D.
Yeah.
Like that sort of, like, it doesn't quite look right. It looks almost claymation style. Like, it looks like that. I don't mean claymation, do I? I know what it just looks...
Kind of that Flash style almost.
Yeah, Flash,
Like,
floaty style, but
animation.
smooth 3D models put in a 2D world. This whole world feels put together. It doesn't feel like Samus is separate for the world. Problem with like games like Sonic 4 and that is the character feels separate from what you're jumping on. Seeing this feels like Samus is fucking there. Like, you're sliding. Like, I do have some gripes, and I've said them to you before. I have 10 fingers on my human hands. This game, I've got all the moves now, and it's borderline too many. Borderline, like, I forgot that move existed. Some of them are pointless. I want to say the invisibility move is pointless. Do you know why?
Gets you through a couple of doors.
Yeah, and that's it for the entire game, Andy, because literally after...
I did use that to hide from an enemy twice.
You can use it to hide from enemy, but realistically you can jump over enemies, does the same. Because that thing kills you as you use it. So, in the entire game, if you took out invisibility, you wouldn't miss it. You wouldn't miss it. I would argue that some of the moves or you have to kind of do this to do, and in the middle of fighting a boss, you're like, I tried,
Yeah.
and you find yourself saying that, I was meaning to do that move, and I couldn't remember what fucking combo it was. So yeah, it's borderline complicated controls. I would say the controls work, but they're borderline too much.
Because you've got like you've got your regular arm cannon, and then you can charge it up, but then you've also got like if you hold, was it R, then it gives you the missile. But if you hold like a ZR, whatever it's called, the back
R2.
R button, then it gives you
The grapple.
sort of yep. And that's already too much. And I don't know if there's more.
There is more, Andy. There's more.
Of course.
Yeah. I don't want to ruin them all, but like there's like 2, 3 more than that, and I'm like, so I have to hold this one and this one this time, okay, and I'm still holding this one, and I'm like, what? Like, how could you even play these with Joy-Cons? Like, I've been playing this a lot on the TV, and I'm like, how? Like, I'm using a full-size controller with the Pro controller, like, which is a beautiful controller, I love it, but like, how could you play this with just Joy-Cons? If anyone's finished this with just Joy-Cons, fair play to you. But for me, it's not possible. Like, there's too many combos, too much of this going on for you to use the buttons that are this size at the edge of your screen. So I bought the OLED Switch, which we'll talk about in a few days. Maybe is it this Friday or Tuesday that we do the pickups?
Oh yeah, it'll be soon, won't it? The first. That'll be Friday.
Yeah, Friday. So I'll show my OLED off more then. I didn't get my unboxing video done due to circumstances here, but like I've barely used my OLED Switch. Like, I've barely used it because I perma-docked my second gen Switch, we'll call it, the mid-gen one. And I've played it all on the big screen. This game is very worthy of a big screen as well. And I am a big supporter of 2D games work best on handheld. I will say that all day, every day. Like Sonic Mania, I preferred on Switch. I bought it on all platforms, as you know, Andy. Streets of Rage 4, played on Switch. This game, there's something about it, Andy, that works really well on the telly, and I'm like, this doesn't look bad. And I'll add in a bad thing, a really bad thing, a horrible thing that wouldn't have been a problem last gen, but it is a problem now if you're a PS5 or Series X or Series S. Series X owner. We're not counting Series S. The loading for this game.
Loading's bad.
Very long.
Very long.
And I mean, I'm sorry, first world problems, yeah, but it's not like 5 minutes long, but sometimes you can be waiting close to a minute, and you're like, what's a minute? When you're in a minute and you're traveling to another area, like, oh, come on. And Samus is just standing there like, shh. There's no dialogue. It's just her.
Bored as fuck as well. Like,
it shouldn't
like,
happen.
Come on, to fuck.
It shouldn't happen. Like, and the problem is the Switch needs an SSD. I agree with, I can't remember if it was Dead by Daylight, but did you see the developer story this week where he came out and said Nintendo don't need to comply? They've never focused on hardware since the N64. He said they've always focused on their gaming catalogue and they've got the best gaming. He argued they've got the best first party gaming catalogue out there, which we've spoke about before in a previous episode if you want to check the feed. Yeah. But he's right, they don't. But see, when it comes to a game like this, if it's going to take that much loading, you can't. You need to move it on. You need to work in your memory. If we're at this point where a game like Metroid Dread, and don't get me wrong, we're not going to get another Metroid game like this on the Switch. The next one will be Switch 2, but we'll probably... Here's my prediction. Prime 4, I think, next year has to be. And I think it'll be a cross-gen game. I've just got this feeling. I think it's going to be the Breath of the Wild. It's going to work on your Switch. But if you think this loading's bad... I mean, to be fair, the Splatoon 2 came out in the first year of the Switch, yeah? Its loading is fucking horrific. Fucking horrific to this day. Even when you enter the game, there's no skipping that. Oh, yeah. It's like, I get it. Just give me a flash screen with here's the stages. Skip those two. And Splatoon's a fun game, but I really hope in Splatoon 3 they've get rid of that nonsense. But anyway, back to Metroid Dread. It's a potential game of the year for me, Andy. I'm not saying it is game of the year, but I'm saying I've liked Metroid. Like, you know, like Metroid's been my logo. Day one in the Switch, I put Samus logo. I love something about Metroid. I think it's got so much more potential than they've got out of it so far. I think there's a lore and story that they need to spin off. And I don't just mean Prime. I mean a Mass Effect style game in the Metroid universe.
Yeah, I was watching a video about this earlier, about Metroid and how they need to do more with it, and like when they went and kind of like broke it down, I'm like, yeah, they're actually so right. Like Samus is like a great looking character,
really cool,
and they've done
iconic.
Basically nothing with her.
He is Hoth. 20 years between games, Andy. 20 years, just saying.
I know, and even the story in like Metroid Dread, it's not a good story.
No. But all in all, it's fantastic. See, when you link it all up, it's like, wow, there's so much to expand off of here. Like, it's a base story. Like, Star Wars wasn't the best story in the world, and it get fucking like what, 8 sequels and prequels to the original Star Wars: A New Hope, like, and it became fantastic. Like, Metroid is like A New Hope, all in, and I mean Metroid Prime and everything.
Yeah, it's almost a blank canvas that they can do whatever with. Like, Samus barely speaks in the game so far. She spoke like one time.
She speaks in Other M quite a lot, but
well, okay, but like for me from playing Dread and basically nothing. Right? Like she spoken one time in the game, and I'm like,
the weird thing is Metroid M is not considered on the canon timeline. Like it goes Metroid 1, 2, 3. See, the weird thing is, like, even though we get different names, see when you load up the game, it says Metroid 5, like this one, then it says Metroid 4 Infusion and stuff. So there's 5 never mind most of the spin-offs, but you get 5 Metroid games, and you've got 3 Prime games that came between Metroid 1 and 2, right? So you get 5, 6, 7, 8 games total. Prime 4's coming, as we know, and the way the story's progress, I don't want to do, there is spoilers in this game that you will even care about, that I won't talk about. I don't see how this can happen after. I think this has to happen like between Metroid 2 and 3 or 3 and 4, because 4 and 5 seem pretty close together, but then there's certain things that could ruin. I don't know what they're going to do. They've said this is the closure of Samus's chapter, and I kind of know what they're referring to, even though I've not beat the final boss because of what I've been told by Adam. I mean, here's my problem is Metroid Other M, Adam's in that, and he's kind of like the squad leader for Samus. And Adam's now in this as the AI, and it's like, well, if you're discluding Other M, then how do I just accept Adam from nothing? Like, so I don't know what's canon, what's not. I would say Other M is canon, but it's neither Prime nor a numbered game.
Okay. But yeah, I'm going to play more of this. Like I say, that boss that I've like, I knew it was something stupid that I was missing, and yes, it turns out that it was indeed. So I'm going to play more of that. I'll definitely speak about it more next week, and I imagine we'll.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're missing now. I'm thinking. See, once he kind of goes, blah, 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 look there on the screen, and look like there on the screen, and blast.
Kind of obviously.
I mean, it's big red and green flashy lights, you know.
Yeah. Didn't even see it, mate. Like, honestly.
I thought you were going to blast past it. Yeah.
Definitely not. So I played just a couple of things I want to touch on briefly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I played Hell Let Loose on PS5. That was a free PlayStation Plus game. I'm going to tell you, Ali, that you would fucking hate this game. Do not play it. Do not even bother to download it. So don't waste your time. This is basically a war game from like the World War. I don't know if it's 1 or 2 era, but like from that sort of time period, and it does a very realistic depiction of what it would be like to be in that wartime sort of battlefront, which is, I'm going to tell you, boring as fuck, and does not make for a fun game, because it's one of them ones where you will spawn at the back. And then you will have to traverse your way all the way over to the enemy, and then find him eventually, find one guy, and he'll kill you. And then you're dead. And then you start back at the beginning, and you have to run all the way through. You can fire an artillery gun in the game, though, which would be very fun if you were playing with, like, a couple of people. Because you can man the gun yourself, But what you have to do is you have to get the shell, and then you have to go out of that position, go back into the position, load the shell, and then go into the aiming position. So you're doing three different people's job basically. You go into the aim position and then aim it, and then fire it, and then go back out of it, and then go and get another shell. And like, it's clearly designed for like more than one person to do it. Also, you cannot drive the tank unless you're playing as the driver class, which makes sense. I get it. Like, especially back then, probably much less people drove. So you'd have to be a trained tank driver to be able to drive the tank or truck or whatever it is. But if you're not that guy, you can't drive the truck. You can only be a passenger in the truck. So if there's no driver in the tank, you can't fucking use it. So you have to run. You've got no other option, which makes the game very, very slow. Which is probably what it would be like if you were actually like in the real time that war back then, and it would be very boring running about until you finally find someone. It would be horrible, but like
war. What war?
I don't know what one it is. It's either 1 or 2. I'm not sure.
It's either 1 or 2.
I don't know which one.
Well, who are you fighting?
There are not.
Who are you fighting?
Who are you fighting? I'm not sure. Like, just bad guys.
Is it the Nazis? If it's the Nazis, it's World. If it's Germany, then it's World War II. That's the difference.
I never got close enough to see the guys. They always killed me before I got anywhere near to them. So, I don't know. Anyway, very, very slow game. Could be some fun if you were playing with other people, but like, just I played it for like, I think an hour, and I think I saw 3 enemies in an hour, and like most of my time was spent running from like the back of the battlefield to the front of the battlefield and exploring fields of nothing, which was no fun. So yeah, don't bother. And then lastly, there's 2 other things I want to talk about. One thing, I bought a new game, came today, just came out today.
Did it come today?
Came out today.
Mine's is not coming tomorrow.
Different game. Oh. Dark Pictures Anthology House of Ashes came out today.
Okay.
Which I ordered from Amazon, and it was delivered today, unlike Guardians, which I tried to order from Amazon and said it was delivering next week.
Let's talk. We'll talk about that after to finish up the show, but yeah.
But yeah, so I did got that, came today, and I played like the first hour of it, and it had the same problem as Life is Strange, where I'm like, this looks fucking bad. Like, it's got that whole really slow frame rate thing going on, and I'm like, let me check the options. Went and looked in the options, and it had a mode. It had a performance mode. Changed to performance mode. 60 frames a second, brand new. Fine.
Yes.
Graphics are bad on the game though.
This is the one.
It is definitely the way. The graphics are bad though. Like, there's no getting around that. Like, it is a PS4 game 100%, and I bought the PS5 version, and this is 100% a early PS4 game. I wouldn't even say it doesn't look as good as Until Dawn. Maybe not even as good as Man of Medan.
Is this the one that looked like Call of Duty Telltale?
Yeah, Call of Duty Telltale, but like, it was weird because like at the beginning, that's what I was kind of expecting from it. But the beginning of the game, like, and they've done this with the other games as well. They've set you up at the very beginning. They show you some like old flashback of some old thing happening, and then that ties into the modern day part of the story. So like in this one, you're like playing like some Egyptian guy like back in the like 1,000 years BC or whatever it is. I'm like, okay, fine, just get through the motions. Like, you know, like it's like, oh, this guy will remember that, and this guy's like more your friend, or this guy's less your friend. Fine, but then the two spoilers, the 2 guys die at the end of that section. And you're like, what was the point of that? And then it's like, oh, modern day. There you go. Like, okay, well, this is where the game begins, so that's fine. So I'm in that bit now, and it's like I'm playing as like army guys. So, but as I say, I only played the first hour of it. Mechanically, it's just the same as Man of Medan and like Until Dawn, and that there's quick time events. You're either choosing one option or another, or doing nothing. There was like a heartbeat moment in it where you had to like stand still, and you had to. It was the same as like they did it in Until Dawn a few times. I don't know if you remember, but in those ones you were to like set your controller down.
Yeah,
or like hold it still.
Controller. Hold it still. Don't move it.
And those ones were actually quite hard because like when it was vibrating, it was difficult to not move it. But these ones, it's like just press X in time to like, it's like a thing coming across, and it's like you need to press it at that specific moment. Fine. But yeah, so like I've only played an hour so far, so the story seems okay. Like playing as army guys, cool. Set in 2003, like during the Iraq War, which is interesting. So I'm curious to see what they do with
Saddam's
that.
gold.
Like, Yeah, we're gonna find Saddam's gold. Is it gonna be a Three Kings kind of deal?
That was
I
a
don't know.
great movie.
But
Great movie.
fantastic movie. But anyway, the last thing that I did play was I played some Nintendo 64 games, Ali. They came out today. Nintendo 64 games came out today on the Switch.
You know what?
Because
I will say this. You've got more money than sense. Because not that long ago, I showed you the Nintendo Switch games. And you went, yeah, fair point. Because I went, what are you playing out of these? Like, before you splurge all over it. Mario 64, they already gave us a better version in the Mario Collection. They re-resed it, they gave us the
I,
graphics.
I didn't buy that.
No, you didn't, but you've played it before.
I played it.
It's fine. It's not going to last. Mario Kart 8, much better than Mario Kart 64, yeah. Yes, it is. Don't need an answer. It's a fact.
Yeah.
And then Lilac Wars, whatever it was called over here. I've always called it Star Fox, Star Wing, whatever. It's a game you can finish in 2 hours. I did so on the 3DS. And then the rest are kind of like you've got Win Back, Zelda, sure, but you've got Breath of the Wild. Why would you don't have time for that? So, Andy, what are you playing? What game are you playing out of these wondrous games? Yoshi's Story, perhaps.
Here's what I'll tell you, and I'll tell you why I bought this. Right, because I got up today and I'd seen something like tweeted about like, oh, the N64 stuff is out.
Is it a Japanese one? No.
No, I think it was Spawnwave was tweeting about it. I can't remember. I'm sure he said something negative about it as well, but that reminded me it was out. And I'm like, all right, okay. Like, I'm like, I've really been enjoying playing my Switch the last few days,
cool.
And I'm like, I think I'm done with Metroid because I was stuck with that boss. No, I know that now because I beat that boss, right? But like when I got up today, I was stuck at that boss and I saw no way past it. And I'm like, I think I'm probably done with that. So I want to keep playing my Switch, and I need something like new to play on it.
Fair.
So I'm like, this thing is out today. Like, I'll get this. I'm like, when's my subscription up? Oh, it's up in like 4 days. Perfect, cool, fine. I'll just buy that. So I got the subscription. And I got it for like £32 or something like that.
Because you can only buy the year. You can only buy it for a year.
You can only buy it a year. Yeah, you can't buy a monthly one.
Which is bullshit.
Yeah, because it would be nice if they gave you like a month trial of it, or even like let you pay for a month of it for a tenner. It's all about options. I think they should have an option for paying it monthly, but they didn't. So, and like I say, my Switch subscription was about to be up, and do you know what I realized when I was doing it? I've been paying monthly for my Switch. I've been paying monthly for my Switch subscription for a year.
Have you? Like, what I did was set up the yearly subscription from day one, $19.99. Yeah. Right, before you splurge again, see if they'd offered me, never mind Animal Crossing DLC, what they should have done is secured, and I say this, right, so Grand Theft Auto 3 is going to PS Now in December on date with the physical release, right, the remake. Mm-hmm. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is going on the 11th of November, like a couple of weeks from now, on Game Pass. Right, fine. Nintendo 100% should have secured Vice City for their expansion and just went, one of the first games we're getting here is Vice City. There's nothing that would have stopped them doing that. That's what I see anyway. So if they'd offered me more storage on the cloud as well, because that's literally, see when I looked at it, Andy, today, I was like, still nothing. I've got the Mario collection. Yoshi's Story I've finished so many times. I've got it in the Wii U. I'm like, I don't need it. Zelda I had on the 3DS. I'd rather play the 3DS kind of remaster than this one. And I'm like, I've got Mario 64. So I'm like, right, Mega Drive. I'm like, I've got the Mega Drive collection. Yeah, all of these games are there. I've got it on my Switch right now. So I'm like, Happy Home Collection isn't out yet. And I would rather not be beholden to a yearly pass and not renew it and then go, oh, I've lost my DLC. Like, I'd rather buy it, right? I'm not going to buy the Animal Crossing DLC because I don't play it. So, like, they've not offered me any more storage. And my biggest gripe, we've talked about it before, why go Genesis before finishing your own system? Surely finish the Nintendo systems that would work, like Game Boy, even just Game Boy, never mind Game Boy Advance. Throw me Game Boy and N64 and I'd have been there. The fact that you went Genesis, Mega Drive, and like everybody on every system since the Mega Drive Yeah, because the Saturn had Sonic Jam. So, like, every system since the Mega Drive has had a Mega Drive compilation of the best games on the Mega Drive, including several handhelds made by Blaze, including my mobile phone with the Sega Classics collection. I don't really need to see many of these Mega Drive classics because they're the same games rinsed and repeated. And that is the
Including the Switch. That game's on the Switch as well.
What's that?
The Mega
I've
Drive
got
Ultimate
that's
Collection.
what that's
it's
what
on
I've got.
Switch as well,
I own
yeah.
it. I own it, Andy. I own it digital. I got it for a tenner. The whole thing on sale on the Switch for a tenner. So
Good price.
N64, there's not enough games just yet. I'm not saying there might not be a time where I'm like, now's the time to pull the trigger, I have to play that. But see the selection that's out just now, and the fact that they're not giving me, like, see if they turn around and said, okay, you're getting Vice City at Christmas, you're getting double the storage, you're getting your Game Boy game. Why? And like from what I hear, Sega have been paid through the roof for it. Like Sega were partly to do with the price increase so much. It's not as bad here as America, but it's still like £15 more a year. I can't justify it.
It's basically double.
Yeah, it's double, but it's like I can't justify the price for what they've given me. If they'd turned around and said you're getting Game Boy, never mind Game Boy Advance, just pure and simple Game Boy and N64, we're upping your storage by a couple of gigabytes. We'll give you Vice City and you're getting Animal Crossing. I'm sold. I'm sold.
See,
day one.
I think a lot of that stuff will come, like not necessarily the Vice City, but like
No, but do you understand why I'm saying Vice City should have happened?
Yeah,
If there's three games in a trilogy, and one console's got one, the other console's got the other, why haven't you took Vice City? Like Xbox is San Andreas and PlayStation's got GTA 3. Vice City's right there. You should have honestly put in for it. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree. But anyway, like I did play some N64 games on the service, just to try them out because, like I say, I thought I was done with Metroid. I'm clearly not. I'm going to play more of that now that I've got through that fucking boss.
It's over when I say it's over.
Yeah, so I got this and I played some N64 games. Played Mario Kart, Ali. Mario Kart 8 is better. You're right. Yes.
90% of the time, I'm right. All of the time.
I do not like the gameplay is okay apart from the boost mechanic. The boost mechanic doesn't work anymore.
And Mario Kart 64?
Yeah, the boost mechanic in 8 is way better.
That can get in the bin. I've just got fond memories of playing it with my cousins because that was back when every household had an N64 and my cousin had 3 controllers and me and my brother went up and played with my cousin. It was like, this is fantastic. Mario Kart 8 is the best Mario Kart game that's ever been out. Mario Kart 64 has some of the best tracks. Some of the tracks are really good. Mario Kart 8's got better tracks, though. Better tracks than those ones. So I have no interest. But nice that you tried it, and it's good that it's online as well.
Yeah, I didn't play online. I just play it.
Why play online? Surely you play Mario Kart 8 if you wanted a good Mario Kart experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm probably won't play that again. I also tried. I tried a bit Yoshi's Story.
E-A-O, E-A-O, E-A-O. Do you know what, Andy? I will tell you something. I loved that game when it came out. My cousin in Edinburgh had it again. I sat and played through it. You could collect all the coloured Yoshis. I tried it on... Did it come out in the Wii U? I think I've got it on. Or possibly even the Wii. It's not a good game. It is not a good game. No. Crafted World looks nicer and is widely available. Like, just buy that instead, is my opinion now.
The controls on this game are horrible. Like, he's so floaty, man. Like, his jumping's terrible. He's like, even the like analog on it, the analog stick doesn't feel right. Like, it all feels horrible. So yeah, did not enjoy playing that. And then I tried Sin and Punishment on it, which I've never played before. And it's like basically it's an on-rails shooter.
Oh, good. Without a light gun. Sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like, you know the way Panzer Dragoon worked, where it's like on the screen and you're shooting.
Again, hate it.
And that game worked. That game worked perfectly, and it was quite fun. Like, it's not incredible, but like it was quite fun. I played the first level, absolutely fine. That's all I played of the N64 games. I did try Echo the Dolphin on the Mega Drive one.
Great game, always a great game. Good time.
The emulation on it is perfect. I cannot remember how to get the first level though.
You have to leap over the rocks. You have to go down and...
Yeah, I thought this as well, but I couldn't find the way out.
No, you leap up in the air and the alien spaceship gets you.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. But
so I got
stuck
down
on the
and just jump out the water. Job done. As far as I remember, and then you go back to the water, and all your friends are gone, and you have to find your friends.
Right, okay. But it looks great. It plays perfectly, like from like zipping around and that. Like,
is that Echo
perfect.
2?
I don't
One
know.
of them you go down and go up, and you jump straight there. Try it in Echo 1. Go straight down to the bottom and zoom, 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 zoom. Speed boost out the water, and I'm pretty sure you just go.
Okay, I'll try that. But yeah, like the mechanically it played fine. It looked fucking great. Mega Drive standard in it. But yeah, I don't know what I will play on it. But what I will say is, I saw a video from Spawnwave earlier today, and Spawnwave, in fact, no, yesterday, and Spawnwave on that video was talking about that someone had made a Saturn emulator on the Switch.
Yeah, they have. I seen this about a week ago. Yeah, you sent me it today.
Yeah. And that makes me go, they've got Mega Drive. They've got N64. What is the one console that's never been ported anywhere ever? The fucking Saturn.
PlayStation 3.
Give me Saturn.
PlayStation.
They ported most of the good games. No, but they ported most of the good games from that to other platforms. Like Saturn games are like locked on the Saturn, staying there. They've never ported most.
Name 10.
Name 10.
Yes, please.
Panzer Dragoon 5.
Remade.
Panzer
Already
Dragoon
out there.
Saga,
Already out there. So that's
Sonic
3.
Rangers,
No one
Sonic
was split.
Jam.
No, Sonic Jam's not a game, it's a compilation. Sonic R's out there
Okay.
and available.
Sonic R.
It's out there and available. No, it's not a modern system because for a very good reason. It's horrible.
Shining Force, Shining in the Darkness.
What's
Like, I
Shining
could
in the
go on,
Darkness?
mate.
You could go on, but you haven't. You've named 6 games and most of them are already on other consoles. Panzer Dragoon you can buy right now on your Switch.
Fighters Megamix, Virtua Cop.
Fighters Megamix is another game. Virtua Cop's another.
Virtua.
Are you kidding? You need a light gun. Like, these are nonsense titles. These are not
Anyway, like,
exclusives either.
I would love to have some of the most of our exclusives are like
Saturn wasn't
Peace,
popular
they're-
enough. You're kidding yourself if you think the Saturn's going to come before the Dreamcast, Andy.
But if they did Dreamcast, I would be more than happy with that. But anyway, like my point is,
But they haven't.
that,
They've done
me
Mega Drive.
buying. But yeah, no. But me buying the subscription, right, is me locking myself in for whatever comes down the pipe.
I
will
get it.
accept all the games when they bring them. That's fine. And I liked when they were putting out these the SNES games. Like every so often, every month or so, you would get like a couple of new SNES games come in, and it was cool to jump in and like the wee tile would be there, and there's like something new to see, and you'd go in and you'd turn it over, and you'd be like, I'll never play that, but I want to
Every
do
time.
that for like the next stuff, and like be excited for it. And I would play. There's some games that I would play again. Donkey Kong 64, I'd try that again. Banjo, I'd try that again.
Donkey Kong
These
64 is
games.
not aged well. And
But I
Banjo's
would-
on
I
the
would-
Xbox right now on Game Pass. You can play it now. Right now. A
But
better
I
version.
Don't
A
I
much
don't
better
want
version.
to play it on Xbox. I
It's a
want to
much
play
better
it on
version.
Nintendo.
Much better.
And I'm going to get that N64 controller.
Don't. That's a waste of money.
Because I want to play these games with that accurate
It's
controller.
a horrible controller. Nostalgia goggles are saying, I loved it. It's a horrible controller. And do you know what's going to happen when Andy buys this, ladies and gentlemen? He's going to go, Joe, I don't like the controller. And I'm like, I told him. I did tell him. So I have nothing
Anyway.
on it that I want to play. However, what I will say is I seen on Twitch today, Twitter, a guy showing screenshots of the Wii emulating Ocarina, the N64 playing Ocarina, and the N64. And people were complaining. The Switch looks fucking awesome. Well, basically, what it does is the Switch eliminates the game boundary fog that's used because the N64 couldn't show a certain distance, draw distance. And because the Wii was just using the N64 emulator, it was the same. The Switch doesn't have those. So it's just a case of, look, here's as far as we can see. And it looks clearer.
Cool.
So I'm like, that looks awesome to me. So that's cool. But again, the 3DS version's the remaster. It's not a remake, it's a remaster. And it looks a lot nicer. Like, turn off the 3D and play that game and it looks fucking phenomenal. Which is annoying that just give us the 3DS version of Ocarina and Majora's Mask on a fucking cartridge, considering we're still working our way through Zelda's anniversary, Nintendo. You did more for the Year of Luigi than you have for Zelda. That's a fact.
But yeah, like, so I'm excited to see what they do to it in the future. I don't know how much I'll play of it, like in the here and now. I'll dip in and out of bits
Fair.
and pieces of it.
Fair.
But I'm locked in. I'm locked in for the year. Like that's me.
I ain't
So
doing it. I've no need. See, because I have the Sega. Like I said, do you not do you not understand where I'm coming from? That I understand that we're never going to see GameCube or Wii because they'll just remake those games and resell them to us.
yeah,
But you've got Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, DS, all could work. There are games that didn't need both screens. You could have them, and you've already got ports of most of them because of the Wii U. Like the Wii U had all of these. Put them on, like Game Boy. I'd have been. See if they'd said N64 and Game Boy, like I said, day one.
I think within the next 2 years you're going to see all of that over, and it's all going to be included in the expansion pass plus thing.
Or maybe the next one's called Expansion Pass plus Virtual Console.
I don't think they'll do another tier.
I do.
I think you can only do. I think you can only do one tier.
There's another tier
Can't do
coming,
two.
Andy. They'll up the price. They will. Remember, this is the folk that called it the Wii U. These are the folk that, what is it, the new 3DS Plus, the new 3DS XL. I own one. That's the same company, remember. So the new 2DS XL, which is a 2DS system, which was built around a 3D architect. Anyway, so like, yeah, it's not for me right now. And I got Switch Game Pass day one, Switch Online day one, which is pointless to me. Apart from game saves, I realised that's all I need it for is my cloud saves. There is no other reason for me to have it until Splatoon 3 releases. There's nothing I play online on the Switch. Nothing. There's nothing worth playing on. Apologies for Mario Kart. Smash, fine. But they don't have the right system. They're charging us for something that's about £5 cheaper than an Xbox yearly subscription. And the online chat service is non-existent if you don't own a smartphone. And even if you do own a smartphone, it's only available for 3 games. Smash, Animal Crossing, and
Splatoon. It was. I think they took it away now. I don't
so
think
we've got two. We've got 2 games. So like they're charging you, Andy, £5 less than PlayStation and Xbox. Games aside, you're paying for an online service, and they don't have online parties. They don't have online grouping, anything like that. So looking at it that way, do you think it's justified?
I mean, the
If
online
you consider
game,
that's
like, the games.
disregard the games, the online service that I'm paying for. Do you think it's worth that?
No, definitely not. Like, but the games are part of it. Like, that's like saying, is Game Pass worth it without the games? Like,
No, it's not saying that. I'm not talking about Game Pass. I'm talking about Xbox Gold or PlayStation Plus.
okay, and like, are those
This is
services
£5
worth it without the games?
Yes, because look at the online service they provide to you with the chat, with the messaging, with the grouping with your friends.
Yeah.
That's what you're
Yeah.
paying for. I don't play most of Gold games. I definitely don't pay. In fact, I don't play Gold games. I don't play PS
Gold
Plus
games.
games. I don't play PS Plus games either. I'm not playing most Nintendo games, so I'm paying to have this console online. So yeah, each one's got cloud storage. Xboxes get the best because it's kind of like seamless. So we've got no trophies, no achievements. We've got no online party service. We've got no online chat service. So how can this be worth the money that it's been put out at?
It's the games. Like, they
No.
want you to pay for the game.
Yeah, I know what they want you to pay for, but how can it be valued £5 less than Gold, £5 less than PlayStation, when they've got such stellar, both of them, online services? How can this be compared when you could argue that you've had Uncharted on Plus, you've had Halo on Xbox Gold, you've had Gears Judgment on Xbox Gold? How can you argue that these games, yeah, they're classics? You've rinsed and repeated, gave them to us via Virtual Console, via DS, via collections. How can you justify that these are as good as the games that you, maybe not now in Gold or Plus, but the games that you've gathered over the years? This is a £35 service now, Andy. How can it be valued the same as a Greg's sausage roll away from PlayStation or Xbox?
It's probably not right now for like the amount of content that's in it, but it will be.
But then they'll put it up. They'll put it up in price once it is. You know that. You know fine well it's going up a fiver. See, next year, this is £40.
Probably.
Yep.
By the time 1 year from today rolls around,
Yep.
so 26th of October 2022,
Yeah.
I think I'll have had my money's worth out of the
Do
service.
you think they'll have improved the online to a acceptable form where I can invite you to a game and chat with you on my Switch?
Probably not.
They won't. So, this is my point. If they want to make a dent, that's what they need to do. They want to go online. There's rumours about an all digital Switch, which I don't believe, but they can't ignore most of the future. They don't need to conform to the hardware from the Xbox or the PlayStation, but there's certain features. If you're selling us a service that you're saying is $4.99 less than Gold and Plus, like what their online chat game server, like that's only worth $4.99. I disagree, 100%.
I did see something about online game invites when I was looking on the Switch the other day, but I don't know what it was.
Yeah, but I want to be able to, on Switch, open up my friend list, invite you to a party and chat with you right away. Why can't I do that?
Yep. I think I would play more multiplayer online Switch if I could do that.
110%. And guess what they would attract? More third-party developers. You would have Call of Duty Mobile there the next week if you did that.
Yep. So they might still do that. The functionality's there, Bluetooth headphones and all that's getting added in. So they could patch it in the wall.
I want to be able to sit here with these headphones on, walking about the house, playing like Splatoon 3 with Andy while chatting to him without having to have my mobile phone going, is this working yet or do we need to use Discord?
Yeah.
So even when it did work, it wasn't good. The Wii U had a better online chat function.
It did, yeah, because
it fucking did. It worked.
But anyway, there was one other game came out today that we didn't get.
Yeah, but before that, we're not sponsored by these people, but I want to talk about base.com because I've used them before in the past for like cheap games, and I googled Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was like, compare. You know, you always compare the close 25 shops. Cool Shop, all the usuals came up, and then it said base.com £46. I'm like, that's like £10 cheaper than everywhere else. So I sent it to Andy, and he was like, "I want a PlayStation 5." So I was like, "Here's PlayStation 5. It's the same price, mate. It's £2 cheaper on PlayStation 4." So Andy ordered his, I ordered mine. Like I sent it to other folk, and they're like, "Oh, that's really cool." And I sent it to Nelson. He's like, "I'm a basic bitch, and I've got a Series S." It's not what Nelson said, but he basically said he couldn't buy the disc game. And I was like, wait for the Black Friday sale then. So I ordered it on a whim because it was £46. I'm like, what's £46 these days? Which shows you that I'm now conformed to £60 as a normal price. Shows you how quick it happens. Like I used to
moan 60 on Amazon. Amazon it was £60.
It was 60 elsewhere as well. $59.99 digital. Like I was like, okay, cool, that's the price. £46. I'm like, brilliant. That's like £15 almost cheaper, £14 cheaper. And then it said that they emailed and explained everything. They emailed and said, "We apologise, our shipment has been held up and it will arrive on launch day. We will ship this out to you with fast postage." I got an email today that said, they also said, "We're taking £3 off the price." What? An apology and a discount?
Oh my god.
So we got this for 40.
I got the same email.
Yeah, £43. And I'm like, that's awesome. And what did I get just about lunchtime, before lunchtime, just around that time today? Your package is shipped via Royal Mail 24. And anyone in the UK will know Royal Mail 24 means you're getting that tomorrow. So I was astounded by the service from base.com. So much so that I'm like, do you know what? I'm going to use them again because I'll take £3 off my game if you're going to get it to me the next day. I have ordered stuff, and this is Andy's Metroid dilemma all over it of trying to order from Amazon. Don't get me wrong, this wasn't after release, this was pre-ordering. I've tried to pre-order stuff off Amazon recently. Me and Andy were like, what the fuck's going on? I'm a Prime member, I pay my £70 a year, so does Andy. Yep. So I'm expecting next day delivery, and if I pre-order something weeks, months in advance, I want it on launch day.
Day one,
so
yeah.
Several times this has not happened to me. And I do not get an apology from Amazon. All I get is, there has been an unexpected delay in your items that will now ship on this date. And I'm like, but I could buy it in a shop today. Like, I ordered from you for convenience months ago, weeks ago.
Yep.
And then we try base.com. Not only did they immediately message and say sorry and explain the reason for the hold up, they tell us behind the curtains, like baseball, they talk shop baseball right there. Like, they say sorry, but we're going to take £3 off your order. So I got Guardians of the Galaxy for £43 and it's free delivery. Like, that's unreal to me. See, in this day and age, you don't hear about that. You don't hear about that sort of service. No. So, like, I'm like, that's cool. It's coming tomorrow and it gets sent today at lunchtime Royal Mail, so I expect it by dinner time tomorrow at the latest. Free delivery. I'm off tomorrow. I'll take it. Like, I'm hyped. Like, so there's no Guardians of the Galaxy coverage from us, but what did you think about that, Andy? Because obviously you did the same thing.
Yeah, really positive experience. Like, I've used Base before, same as you, like for buying cheap discount games here or there. But I don't think I've ever pre-ordered a game from them. And yeah, really positive experience. Even like, okay, we don't have the game day one, but like they've given us a instant update, which is a lot more than I've had from any other company ordering a game or a system for day one release. I've always been left just with frustration, sitting around waiting to see if it's going to come. Like, they emailed, what was it? Even yesterday, I think they emailed. Like,
yeah, to update.
Yeah, yesterday they emailed saying that there was a delay. Like, perfect.
And
like,
but it wasn't just there was a delay, Andy.
Like, oh,
they explained and said our shipment that was scheduled to arrive today will now arrive tomorrow. We apologise for you and we'll take £3 off.
Yep, open, honest, and like went over and above as well. So yeah, 5 stars, 100%.
I will use them again. In fact, definitely. I will endeavour to pre-order from them because not only were they cheaper in the first place, but they gave me a further discount because of the delay. Put it this way, I ordered these tracksuit bottoms. You can probably see they're Superman. Right? These came from a well-known website, Zavvi. They were in stock. They were on sale. It was 2 for $15. Tasha's got the Wonder Woman ones that match. £15 for 2 pairs of joggies. They are comfortable. They're well made. Brilliant. Do you know how long these took to get to me, Andy, from date of purchase? This wasn't during holiday season.
I'm going to guess like a week?
Nope.
Longer than a week?
Longer. 3 weeks, Andy. 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
With no apology or responses to my emails of where these were. And Zavvi, I would say, is almost kind of one of the second, just below Amazon, like, of usability, since Play.com's no more. It's now Rakuten.com or whatever, which I don't like.
Yeah.
But Zavvi, 3 weeks for a pair of trackies. If you don't have them, just say expected in 3 weeks. Don't tell me buy now. Tell me expected in 3 weeks, and I'll be like, okay, I'll get them 3 weeks. If I buy something and I'm paying delivery, $2.95. If I'm paying delivery, I want it within a week maximum.
Yeah.
So
you expect it? Yeah, with that you would expect it shipped out that day or the next day.
With if I pay delivery these days, you're shipping it that day.
Unless obviously, like some places that will say like, "Oh, this is coming from China,"
which is
like,
fine.
And okay, you might still need to pay delivery, but then you're aware at the time of purchase that it's come from China. It's going to take 7-8 weeks to get.
eBay usually like. I just bought and not to cheat like Andy, but
Soldier Boy.
No, I bought fuck Soldier Boy. I bought the Metroid cards because I like the cards. And this is me not taking money away from Nintendo because I've bought every one of the Metroids, as you know, Andy. I've bought every one of them. This was just, I simply like the look of the cards, and I really hope it comes in one of the cool wee like sort of booklets that I got for my Splatoon one. It says Splatoon, it's embroidered in it, and you can open it up. I sold one of them to G, like I got the Zelda ones. I'm like, here's the Zelda collection. Look, I paid a tenner, just give me that for it and give it to your kid because he'll use it more. I rebought the Zelda ones after I sold it to G, so I literally used his money to rebuy them. And I bought the Metroid ones, and I'm hoping, I bought it off Amazon. Bear in mind, you can literally type Metroid Amiibo cards on Amazon. £15, Andy, and I've got all 8. Try and get those Amiibos. So this is my point to Nintendo yet again. Sell me the cards officially. I would have happily paid double if you gave me official Metroid Amiibo cards from Nintendo, and I wouldn't have batted an eyelid. And you can still capitalise the market by shortage, because more people are going to collect the figures still every day. But for the people like us that sometimes aren't pre-ordering the Amiibos, I do now and then if I really want them, like, we're missing out. And some things
do you know what they're missing out on a trick with, right? Like, so collectibles, right? They know that their Amiibos are collectible. That's fine. 100%. Most people are buying them for the figure, not for the scan ability of it.
Because
right?
they do fuck all, realistically.
The trick that they are missing at this point with their amiibos is cards. 100% agree with you there, but blind bags of cards,
Yes.
blind bag of
To make folk
cards.
buy and
That's
buy
what.
and buy and buy and buy. Amiibo cards, 10 cards, random cards. It could be any that you get.
Yep.
You could get a gold Mario, like 1 in 50 gets a gold Mario sort of thing.
Yep. 100%. So
Why
they should
aren't they
do
doing
something
it?
like that.
They started as a card company, Andy.
Yep. Because they've got how many amiibos are there? 200 or something like that.
Well over. Well over.
Yeah. Just do that. Make an amiibo card for each one. There you go. Boom. Done.
Yeah. Don't
It's so
release them
easy,
all at
like,
once. Yeah. Feed them to
Yeah.
kids. 10 for
It's fine.
10 for a fiver. $4.99 for 10 cards.
Yeah.
Blind. Yeah. It's easily done. Like, I can make them in the house. Like, remember I made the wee circle ones? I gave them all to Saoirse when she was playing Zelda. I was like, there you go. There's all my circles. They're easy enough made. The tags aren't expensive. You can make a profit on it. But anyway, what were we talking about previous to that?
Guardians.
Guardians. So, I have seen it. Me and you, I actually, I believe my last comments were, I've seen too many fucking Guardian things in the past 5 years. Be it Marvel Ultimate Alliance, Marvel Revolution on my phone. Can't remember what else, but I was like, Telltale. I was like, there's Guardians.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't need another.
Yeah.
Don't need
Everything.
it. And then I pre-ordered it before I done this, and do you know what? After the trailer that me and you watched E3, I was like, I haven't seen anything. I fired up Kind of Funny to go to sleep last night. Greg Miller returns, which was funny that he couldn't take that much time off. It was 2 weeks. I need to come back. You can see in his face he was shattered. And it was cool to hear his opinion on it because he didn't like it, but he liked the Avengers game like I did. Blessing liked it, Tim liked it, and Snowbike Mike said it was possibly one of his games of the year. Tim and Blessing said they could see where he's coming from, but it's not their game of the year. I think Artful Escape's going to be Tim's because that's what he's talked about, and it's a really good game, and it's up there for me as well. But Blessing even said, and Blessing's, to me, he's got high standards in video games for the most part, and he was like, yeah, I really liked it, but Greg Miller had the lines under my eyes that I haven't seen since I had Lexi. It's like, I've never had a child before, and I'm old. And he was like that. So I'm like, no wonder he didn't like the game. I would have fucking hated the game as well. So, the interesting thing was, while I was at work, I was on lunch, and I was messaging Andy earlier. I watched Dreamcast Guy. Awesome. If you don't subscribe, please subscribe to Dreamcast Guy. He's really good. And he said something that kind of went, oh, I'm even more interested, because all the reviews for this, Andy, I was expecting a 65% game. Being on 65-70% game. The reviews are giving it 8s and 9s. Some places are throwing 9s at this game, Andy. Like 8s, 9s.
Yeah.
And they're describing it as Uncharted meets Mass Effect. I'm like, what? And then Dreamcast Guy said something that I was like, excuse me, what? And I looked up and he's right. And it makes sense. Same publisher. It's like, this is Avengers game universe. So these Guardians
I didn't know that. Yeah.
are my Avengers, my Avengers, because I played shit with that game. This is their Guardians of the Galaxy. And spoilers, if it's a minor spoiler, but if you don't want to hear any spoilers about the game, apparently you can hear the Avengers on chatter at one point. It's not that big a spoiler, but it ties in, and apparently at the end it leaves it open to a sort of collaboration. Like, this game is kind of the stepping stone to a Marvel gaming universe with Square, and it leaves it that way. I don't know how it does it, because Dreamcast Guy didn't spoil it, but that's what he said. It kind of, you hear the Avengers during the game on chatter, and it kind of opens it up to that, but it's the Avengers from the games. And do you know why it makes sense, Andy? Here's why it makes so much sense. If anyone's played the Avengers game, you'll know it's MCU light. They went from potato looking to, let's just make it look kind of like the actors. As much as we can. See, if you look at the Guardians game, Andy, it doesn't. It's the same deal. Yeah. It doesn't look like the comics, but it slightly looks like the representation in the movies. And I've read Guardians comics. There's not very many mentions until recently of Peter Quill being obsessed with old style music. It had his backstory of being a baby on Earth and being taken to space, Yondu, all the rest, the Ravagers. However, the music came with James Gunn's choice of soundtrack. That's where the whole 80s, 70s fixture of music did. And this Peter Quill fastens his Walkman onto his belt and starts playing. And I'm like, this is heavily MCU inspired. It really looks like Avengers. And then I watched Dreamcast Guy and he said, yeah, it's Avengers Universe, because he's finished it now. And I'm like, oh shit. And I text Andy and went, it's made by Square. It makes sense. I don't know
So,
why. I don't know why I wasn't more interested in this game, because see if I'd put the pieces together, or they just simply came out and said from the universe of Square's Marvel Avengers, which is how I would have opened that. They've made this as if it's his own out of nowhere. Here's a Guardians game. So, in combination with the reviews and from what I've seen, because basically the footage they shown was just the trailer repeated, and kind of funny, don't tend to play the trailers that much unless they're talking about trailer reactions. I am so excited for this game, Andy, and I'm also disappointed. Right, I'll pass over to why you're excited. Here's why I'm disappointed. This game is made by Square. Everyone complains about Avengers. And I told you earlier, 100%. This should have been £30 to £40 and a story DLC for the Avengers game, where they add all the maps and all the characters to the online to expand that game. They should have planned it from the beginning and went, okay, so Spider-Man's not the only thing. Here's one more thing. Boom. You've got a whole new story campaign, the Guardian story. You've got all the space maps. No robots, just slime, slugs, space, weird looking octopuses, stuff the Guardians fight. And you've got all the Guardians to fight across all the missions. How fucking good would that have been to have linked those games and made Avengers bigger and made that the jumping on point? So instead of having the Guardians separate, they could have added it on, and then they could have added on like the Dark Avengers. They could have added on like the X-Men. They could have added on a Fantastic Four and built up the Avengers to be this sort of Destiny style moving forward game as a service.
They might have planned it. They might have planned it as that.
And then the reaction for the Avengers came out and they went, we could still make money off this by taking away all the things they didn't like the online stuff.
Maybe. I don't know if this was ever planned as DLC. I think we'd need to play it to see how it feels in comparison to Avengers.
Yeah.
If it feels the same, I think you're 100% right, and that probably started off life as that. And then they've moved it over. But I don't know. I think they'll sell more copies of it this way. 100%.
That's another thing. The Avengers get bad rap for I don't know what reason, man. Like, if you view it as a game,
single player campaign of Avengers was great.
But I mean, like,
absolutely great.
It's worth the entrance fee for the single player campaign alone. The people complain about the game as a service element afterwards. And yeah, I get it. You're either going to love it or you hate it. But I mean, this is practical like playing the MCU. Like you can't watch Iron Man 1 and then not fire this up and load up Iron Man and not have fun. I will say that now. As a consistent, I want to play every night game, even for me, it's a no at this point, because I've maxed out a character, I'm close to maxing out another one, and I'm like, they've still not added enough missions. Even now I'm up to date with Black Panther, they need more, and I've just got a feeling that they're just going to wind it down. I don't think they're going to kill it till Spider-Man's out. They're maybe going to add a few more characters because they're already in the works, but I think by this time next year the game's going to practically be unsupported. I definitely think we'll see another Avengers game, but I think it'll be like Guardians and single player only. You know, it'll tie in.
Agreed.
I think they've learned their mistakes. I think the original team developing it didn't want the game as a service part, because the game as a service isn't you could like this. It's either you're going to absolutely love this and have great fun, or you're just not going to like it at all. And most people, unfortunately, fall into not at all camp. And because the game as a service is the aftertaste of the game, because that's what you're left with, most people kind of forget about the campaign being a fucking badass campaign with Miss Marvel. The campaign was phenomenal and something different that we'd never seen. And it was a blast. Like, if you can pick up Avengers just now, and I know you can, for £15, go and pick that game up. Now. Go and buy it, go and play it in Game Pass.
Game Pass, it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, go and play it. Go and even play it for the campaign. Play it for the campaign and stop. You're not going to hate it. You're not going to hate it if you like Marvel. You're going to have a good time. It's a decent story. You'd really relate to her because she's seen it through her eyes as a fan of the Avengers at the start, and it leads into her joining the Avengers. It's a great story. It's all time good fun. Problem is, people going in, all they're seeing is the game as a service and going, oh, I don't like this, don't like this, don't like this. But the campaign was good, yeah? And they're like, there was a story? Come on. So anyway, back to Guardians. I'm so excited for this, and it came out of nowhere, Andy. After the show, I'm going to finish watching Guardians 1 because I started it at work today after I was speaking to you. I watched maybe 15-20 minutes of it at work on my lunch break. And I'm like,
Good
man,
movie.
do you know what I forgot about Guardians? How much I fucking loved it, and how good Chris Pratt was in the first one. The second
Yeah.
one,
Not so
on
much. No.
it's not as good. And in the first one, he was chiseled. He looked like a fucking hero. In the second one, Rocket even jokes about him eating again. He's put on the weight again. He looks chubby. He doesn't look like a Captain America. And he's better in the Avengers Endgame and Infinity War. Like he comes
Yeah.
across better there. But see, Guardians 2, it's not as good. Guardians 1, if you've got Disney Plus or you've got access to anything, you can watch Guardians 1 tonight. You've never seen it. You're going to have a good time because you don't have to watch anything prior MCU and you don't have to watch anything after because it ties to nothing. In the long picture, of course, there's an Infinity Stone in it. But if you don't want to watch Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Avengers, Black Widow, like if you don't want to watch all these and you just want to watch one film tonight that's Marvel based, if you like Star Wars, you like action, you like comedy, watch Guardians 1. You don't even need to watch Guardians 2 after it. Just watch Guardians 1. You're going to enjoy it. I forgot how much that film can stand by itself. Like James Gunn definitely designs movies that they can stand alone outside of their universe. And I can't say every. Do you know the worst film for having to be part of the Marvel universe is? Spider-Man. It's in the complete opposite scale of everything about that film is tied to the Marvel universe to go, remember this, look at this, this is coming. And that's why I didn't like Spider-Man. They used Spider-Man so badly instead of making it like God. See, here, Marvel and Disney, give James Gunn Spider-Man. I know it's going back to Sony, but they should have gave him that and he would have made Spider-Man feel standalone but part of the bigger universe as Spider-Man should have been. But what they did was they made Iron Man Jr. and then they couldn't back away from that, and that was a problem. And Iron Man shouldn't ever have been a teacher. It should have been Captain America. It should have been Cap that trained Spider-Man because that's what happened in the comic and the Ultimate version, which these movies are based off of. And it totally changed Tony Stark completely, Spider-Man, for the better in the movie storyline, but for me it didn't work. It needed to be Cap, and it should have been Cap while he was on the run, so that he just dipped in and out, and he wasn't constantly going, go and speak to Samuel Jackson, go and speak to this, now go and do this thing so that we can do this next in the next Avengers movie. It should never have been the connective tissue. Spider-Man should have been, I would argue, Ant-Man standalone as well to a point. The first one.
Pretty much, yeah.
But Spider-Man should have been. But anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy, the game, Andy. I watched a wee bit more, not like a walkthrough, not like a play game. I just watched another trailer and I'm like, I think we are going to fucking love this game.
The second trailer. I've only seen the first two trailers.
It must have been the second one I watched.
Second trailer is amazing, much better than the first one.
Yes, and there's, I believe, dialogue choices, kind of like Mass Effect during the game. From what I heard in the review last night, there's a lot more than I expected of choices, dialogue. Like, Dreamcast guy even said this is 50-50 action and a game that's story based, that wants to tell a story. And I'm like, the action part speaks to me a lot. I'm not saying Andy's not an action guy, but see the fact that the storytelling as well, that sways back over to Andy, and like the dialogue choices kind of, like every part of this feels like this is a sleeper hit for us. I would say.
Definitely.
I think we're going to enjoy it. Yeah, and it came out of nowhere, Andy. As I said, a month ago, 2 months ago, I don't need a Guardians game. I ain't getting this shit. And I bought it for how cheap it was, and then the reviews came out, and I'm like, oh, this is looking tasty. This is looking really nice. Because you know me, it's like, do you know what? Impulse buy. Like, I'm the guy that buys the flake every time it Morrison's. Like, if I see that at a good price, I'm like sending it to all the people, and I'm like, I need to buy this. I need to, and like, honestly, Guardians, if you've played it, let us know below in the comments what you thought of it. We'll be talking about it obviously next week. We might touch on it on Friday, but hopefully it should arrive tomorrow. It's Royal Mail 24. Why wouldn't it?
So yeah.
But yeah, I was really surprised at how much I'm looking forward to it, and it was like an octopus thing, and like I had chatter over the thing with Rocket saying, "Quill, are you dead?" And he's like, "No, why?" He goes, "We can hear your whiny screams over the comms without you even being on comms." And I'm like, this is brilliant. And then I seen Groot reaching his arms over as a move, and don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting the next Final Fantasy VII, Witcher 3, Skyrim, any of these, but this could be a surprise this year. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you got anything else to talk about, Andy,
I do not.
then we will wrap up the show. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching. If you like what you've seen, then like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever you want to do. If you don't, fair enough. We'll catch you next time. Thank you. If you just enjoyed that, you don't need to do any of the above, because just watch us. Thank you for watching. We don't do it for all that stuff. We just enjoy doing it. But we will be back on Friday for the video game news and maybe some Guardians chit chat, as we like to spice it up. But on behalf of myself and Andy, thank you very much, and we'll catch you on Friday. Bye now. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye
Bye bye now.
bye. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.